All right, so I was coming by your house, and I was just riding by.
Wait, hang on a second. I'm really interested, but I want to do this.
Hold on.
Shall we begin?
You aren't stuck in traffic. You are traffic.
Let's begin now.
Please get that bicycle-shaped object out of this shop. Oh, no, dude. No mix and match here. Black bottoms or full-on kit. Pedal on, bro. Pedal on.
Let's begin now.
Oh, geez. Learn the hard way. Wider is better.
Today is Sunday, October 13th, 2019. You just downloaded and listened to
Bike Shop. See ya!
Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading, everyone. Music we're using on today's show is Bijou by Philly Run. As always, you can get this tune at the Free Music Archive where you can download it
For free!
We're back to all our World Cup stuff is done. We are
Waterloo
back
done.
to
Iowa done.
We are back to Tech Talk.
Tech Talk.
A little racing will sneak in, but
Yes.
it's different. It's not like specific racing. We're going to talk about the World Cups in general. But we got some great tech topics for us. We're going to talk about adjusting mechanical rear derailleurs, Mr. David Palin.
Yes, those are the gear
bane
changers in
of
the back of the
everyone's
bike.
existence.
Yeah.
We're going to go through some ideas and thoughts about that. We are going to talk about the bottom bracket. The Cane Creek announced the, what's it called? The
wings. Double E wings, right?
The wings. What's that? No. What's it called? It's called the Hellbender.
Oh, the Hellbender.
The Hellbender bottom bracket just for cyclocross and mountain bike too. We're going to talk about that and especially the bearings in there because they're very cool technology. And we're going to do a quick mention of, everybody's probably seen this, the Stan's Notubes
Darts.
Ours is on its way, but we're going to talk about it a little bit today before that happens. So, all right, Mr. David Helen,
With that,
that's enough of my yapping. Let's get on with it. The bike shop is open. Mr. David Palin.
yes, sir.
What's up, man?
What a day, man. A beautiful, beautiful day here in the neighborhood. We did our ride this morning at 8 a.m.
You've been out gravel riding. I was watching Heighten, the opening of the Super Prestige
Yes,
series.
sir.
Yeah, it's not often that we get to record on the weekend on a Sunday.
Beautiful Sunday.
Beautiful Sunday. And wait, before we say anything else, I am about to tweet out that we're opening the phone
We're
lines.
open for business.
We are opening the phone lines. There we go. It's tweeted out, and we'll see if anybody calls. But yeah, if you want to call and talk to us about tech, ask us a question, talk about this morning's race, talk about your
gravel ride
this morning. We don't care. We'll talk about all that stuff with you. We have some stuff that we're going to talk about, but bring that stuff on. But yeah, much more tech related show for everybody this week. We're done. We've done enough of the
Yapping. It's time to get on with it.
done enough of the yapping about the racing. Let's get on and do some tech talk. So yeah.
Yeah. There's another show that's Tech Talk, right? Tech Talks. They meet on stage once a week or something, or
I don't know.
no,
what you're
those are
talking
TED
about.
Talks, right?
Oh,
TED
TED
Talks. Yeah, never mind.
That one was not very good.
Not good. Okay,
So-
edit there, as if he edits.
And while we're doing that, we're going to be drinking some Grimpeur Brothers coffee.
Got mine right here.
One of the most exciting things about me to get to Cincinnati
Yeah,
is because I know Sunny will be bringing some coffee.
I know, because you stole some coffee.
I stole
at
some
Waterloo
at Trek from her.
At Waterloo,
And I'm going to
wasn't
try
it?
and steal more. No, I'm actually going to pay her for what I stole and then try and buy some more from her. But
Yeah.
if you get a chance, get on over to Grimpeur Brothers or Wide Angle Podium.
.com.
wideanglepodium.com, and there's a link to Grimpeur Brothers, and you can get either Hello Cyclocross Friends or the full Schleck. Both, if you buy bags of either one of those, you support the network, you support the show.
Mm-hmm. And if you buy
Yes.
Sunny G coffee,
Yes.
you support Sunny
You
G.
support Sunny G.
And Frenchie, as they
always,
call
yep.
Caroline
As
Monty.
Caroline Monty, yep. You know, it's so funny that the whole Frenchie thing is caught on because last year.
Yeah.
Last year.
You made up
There's
Frenchie.
other people calling her Frenchie now. It's like the cool thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Dude, last year I told the story
Yeah.
about her saying the Frenchie thing.
Yeah.
And ever since then, Sonny was started calling her Frenchie, and now it's a worldwide phenomenon.
You made it up.
No, I didn't make it
You
up.
did.
Caroline made it up.
People from France didn't even know that.
We were talking. I was talking to Caroline about the new C1 rule.
Yeah.
And you know that you need so many
International
yeah, and
racers,
she's like,
yeah.
"That's right. You want Frenchie? You're gonna have to pay." It was hysterical.
Yeah, she's been having an amazing season.
Oh, she's been doing.
Oh, there we
great.
go, talking about racing.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, just cool thing. So yeah, if you want to support either one of them, get over there and buy that Grimpeur Brothers coffee too, because
Yeah.
we like to support the people who support the sport.
Yes, faux show.
The other thing, Mr. David Palin,
Yes,
do you
sir.
know what time of year it is?
I've got all kinds of ideas, but I don't. I'm looking through the notes to try to determine which time of the year it is.
It is
Apple picking season.
for the wide angle podium. It is
Pledge
pledge
drive.
time.
Yeah.
Pledge time. This is the time of year where we try and guilt you into becoming a member, even more than we do normally.
Normally, yeah.
Yeah, normally we do a pretty good job
Yeah,
of that all the
we do.
time, right,
Yep.
Mr. David Palin?
And before you just say, "Oh, I'm going to turn this off and not have to listen to the pledge stuff,"
yeah.
we have a really cool announcement
Yes.
coming up
If
that
you-
you're going to want to hang out to listen for,
Yes.
and B, you're going to want to support.
Yes, you're going to
this
want to
effort.
contribute to what this effort is for
Right.
sure. We're going to announce it. We're going to do another pledge break at the end of the show or near the end of the show. We're going to announce it then, but stay tuned for that because that's going to be huge. It's basically we're going to be telling you what if you support Bike Shop CX specifically. This is not
This is a specificity thing.
This is not a network thing. This is a Bike Shop CX thing.
through the network.
Through the network, but if you
Yep.
when you subscribe to the network, if you choose Bike Shop CX as who you want to support or as one of the shows or the show that you listen to,
Right.
this is what we are doing with your money. We're going to be talking about that at the end of the show, so please stay tuned for that. I think you'll dig it.
I think you'll dig it. Yeah.
I don't think there's any other way to say
Yeah.
that. So,
Yep.
but other things you can get from being a pledge a member.
Yeah.
There's-
Stickers.
There's stickers.
Yeah.
There's pins. It's all on the WAP website.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
you got to do is go to the WAP website,
Mhm.
and you can see at different dollar amounts, you get little stuff so that you can show that you're a WAP supporter.
Yeah, and,
Right?
and then you can feel all pompous, and when you go to another cross race, you can wear your Bike Shop CX pin and say, "Yes, we all listen. Everybody listens,
Right.
But I support
I
the people that
support-
support our sport."
Yeah, and I'll be honest. So I subscribe. Do you subscribe to other podcasts?
Yeah, of course I do.
So do I. There's 3 podcasts
Yes.
that I subscribe to.
Mhm.
I listen to other podcasts, but they don't ask for money, so
Right.
I have never given them any. But there's 3 podcasts. I won't say what they are either. Not because they're competitors. It's just because I don't want to get into all that. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
three podcasts a month that I give money to. Every month, and it makes you. So from experience, I can just say it makes you feel a little bit better when you're a listener. That you know what,
Yeah. This is important enough to me
Yeah,
that I
I'm
support. There's a
part of
couple
this-
that I support as well.
I'm part of this show. You know, I'm helping these people do their thing. So and that's what you're doing by supporting Wide Angle Podium and Bike Shop CX specifically.
As it turns out, I'm not retiring based on the money that you guys are helping
Yeah.
us out with.
Yeah,
And you'll hear at the end of the show why I'm
Mhm.
not retiring. Not that I could retire by any means, but we're trying, as we've learned from our good friends Dan at Grimpeur Brothers.
Yeah.
We've learned from Aaron at TNR-Tape.
yes,
We take the support that you provide us
yes,
and turn it back into, and that's all I'm going to say
right.
for now. We turn it back
You
into
just can't
support our
wait to
sport.
announce-
I am like rocking back and forth in my chair. Hopefully, I'm staying equidistant from the mic so you don't hear me rocking back in my chair. But indeed, I am.
It is very exciting, and
Yeah.
I can't wait till we can announce it. So, that's the kind of stuff. And check it. I mean, you get all this great content that everybody puts out there, and it doesn't. This is the way. Yes, we do ads on the network too. The members is by far the main revenue stream.
You don't want to hear us talking about Budweiser beer and Busch and this and that, STP oil treatments. They're all knocking on our door saying, please let us give you money to do advertising.
Right, yeah. They got thousands of dollars that they want to pass on to us. But
we are committed to you, our listeners.
That's right. And that's really what supports the network is you guys. If you're already a member,
you should be.
Thank you so much. It means so much that you're willing to take a few dollars out of your pocket, and just say, here, you guys take this bit, and it helps push the show on, because we need stuff too, right, Mr. David?
We do.
stuff costs money.
I just got a new mic stand.
Yeah, so we've done this show for how long, and you just finally.
I was on show 13 was my first show,
and now you have a mic stand.
I do.
Wow, imagine that, right? So
and honestly, viewers, listeners, this is for your own benefit. Now you don't have to hear me bumping into things, knocking things over.
Wait, yeah, see, listen. You can't hear anything.
Because I'm not knocking anything over.
Knocking stuff over. All right. Well, that's enough of that for now, Mr. David Helen. Just please, if you're thinking about it, please become a member. We really appreciate having members for the network and that support Bike Shop CX. We love it when anybody comes up to us at any race or anywhere and says, in just one that says, hey, I listened to your show. Because to me, it's like, you're investing your time to listen to us chit chat is awesome. But when you take it the next step and you say, yeah, not only am I going to take the time to listen to you, and when people come up and say, yes, I'm a WAP supporter, it's like, oh my God, thank you so much. So I'm always constantly thanking people for listening. If you've emailed the show, thank you for that, and sure. and if we've helped you out, there's a good way to say, hey, this is awesome. Thank you so much. Here's $5 a month.
Yep.
It's like it's so easy to do, and it's so needed, and it's very much appreciated. We just want to let everybody know.
We love you for it. Thank you so much to our listeners. So here in the notes, I put in you scratched out, and then we discussed it. You said I can talk about this story.
Yep.
I got to tell an evil story.
Okay. And by evil, he doesn't mean evil.
He
means evil the person. Right. Evil Knieper.
Evil Knieper.
Okay.
So
this maybe could become a weekly or every show thing.
Like the Adventures of Flat Doug, right? Right. So I bring Flat Doug we had an Ann Arbor Velo Club meeting on Monday.
Right.
Bring Flat Doug. And I turn around.
Am I a member still? I
don't think
remember.
you are.
I got to pay again.
You got to pay out, man. You should support the people.
So I usually do. I'm a member, and I don't even do any races or anything, but I'm always a member because I support you guys, but every night I just forget when I have to renew. So anyways,
I'll
ahead.
send you an email.
Okay.
Evil, I turn around, and it's like a double take. There's Flat Doug and Evil Knieper. Now you have to understand that Evil lives almost 2 hours away in Alma.
Right. So
he's another guy that pays to be a member of the Velo Club to support the juniors and this and the that and the good work he sees us doing. We love him racing with us, but he lives 2 hours away. We don't expect him to come to monthly meetings and stuff.
Right.
Here he is.
Think about this 4-hour round trip.
Yeah. Here he is, and it was at York. It used to be Morgan in York, now called York Foods, I think, which used to be Big Ten. You remember, you're from Ann Arbor.
I remember
area
Big
back
Ten,
then.
Absolutely.
Big Ten was a liquor store, or Packy as we call it in New England.
Yep.
And he said, I had to come to this meeting in particular because this used to be Big Ten. I said, yeah, I remember that. He said, next door used to be a barber shop that my grandfather was the barber there.
Okay.
I said, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
He said, and down the street from here is X Street.
Uh-huh.
And if you go down 3 houses on the left, that's where my grandparents lived.
And so you're like, okay,
that's cool.
That's cool. Why would you be telling us this story, Mr. David Helen?
Well, because I happen to know that on X Street, 3 houses down on the left is where Dr. Tracy Berman now lives.
No. So all this wait a minute. So all this time, Dr. Tracy Berman has been living in Doug Evil Knieper's grandparents' house.
Well, no, it's her house now.
Well, grandparents' old house.
Yes, indeed. Nobody
knew. Nobody put this together. It just is the way it is.
A while. He told me this story. I said, hold on. I said, Dr. T, come over here. And at first I thought it was just kind of a joke, probably in the same neighborhood. But no, it's the same
Exact
house. He described it like, oh, yeah. As if saying the address wasn't enough, right? But he described it. You walk in, you do this. So she's like, that's our house. Cycling is a small circle, man.
That is so funny.
That is so cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
as I've said before, I dig Doug. Hashtag I dig Doug. One of the nicest guys in the local cycling scene here. He brought a ton of books that said, I've read them. I don't want to have to carry them around. Cycling specific books. Said, Slaying the Badger.
Oh, yeah, that's
Rainbows
a good one.
in the Mud.
Read both of those.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff.
Said, here, give it to the
Somebody
members
read
of the
these.
club.
Yeah.
And then when you're done reading it, give it to somebody else in the club.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
So
that's awesome.
super nice guy, yeah.
Anyways. Well, hey, Mr. Dave Pell, I know
Yes,
you've
sir.
been doing all that, but I have another question.
Oh, man, this is like the 10th degree.
What
Yeah.
are you working on?
I am working on, now it's not a bike per se.
Okay.
I'm working on course layout.
Course layout.
Ann Arbor Vets Park
Oh, I forgot.
is coming
Yes.
up next weekend,
It's next weekend.
which by the time you are listening to this, it's this coming weekend.
That's right. Yeah, it'll be this coming weekend for sure.
And I was asked to please not only invite all of our listeners to join us, but to give special announcement, special invitation to Scotty D.
To what?
The race directors want to make sure that you're there with the Bike Shop CX van
With the van.
to show up and just enjoy the racing. The racing is going to be really good this year. I know
Yeah.
you've been there the last few years. We have finally got permission and permitted to go back to that corner, the northwest corner, where
the hill is?
where the skate park is.
Okay, yeah.
In the hill by the skate park, in the woods by the skate park.
The skate park that Mickey Vukovic knows so well.
Indeed.
That's
I
where I
invited
got-
him. I asked him, I said, please, come on out, Mickey.
Oh,
I
that
said,
would be cool.
how cool would it be to have Tony Hawk come and race this? And he said, Tony doesn't ride a bike. I
Yeah.
said, well, neither did you 5 years ago. Anyways.
Wait, Tony Hawk's got his name on some BMX bikes.
Does he?
Yeah,
All right.
we got one, and I sent a picture to Mickey once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's so the hill is back.
The hill is back. It's going to be a great to watch.
Yep.
Because there's all kinds of places now. You can sit in the parking lot and pretty much see 85% of the race.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it will be good. It'll have a JB PT Barnum Hancock
Yep.
will be more than happy. It has a legitimate two-sided pit that's halfway through the course, which is a return of normal for
Right.
Vets Park. Now that it's not
Yeah.
all on the sledding hill.
yeah.
Still
Still go into the trees.
Still goes into both sets of trees now.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
man.
so we're really excited about
I'll have
that.
to make a serious attempt. There might be one little scheduling thing that keeps me from getting there, but
Yeah,
maybe
well,
not.
We'd love to
Maybe
see it for sure.
Well,
For
that's
sure.
cool.
Yeah.
So you're designing it in your mind. Obviously, you haven't started setup yet.
We haven't started putting stakes in the ground. We have walked it. If you follow me on Strava, it's out there,
Cool.
and it'll be good. And we've done last week and probably again this week. We did a dry run, and I used my time with our juniors to practice some of the turns. So I think that it's important to come. It's not important, but you will enjoy yourself. Come on out, Ann Arbor Vets Park. It's at the
Yes.
junction of Maple and Huron Road.
For those people that live in Ann Arbor.
Michigan. Yeah, by all means, come on out. It'll be on Saturday. This is a historic race. It goes back. A lot of people started racing the same way that a lot of people started doing road racing at Spring Training Series. A lot of people cut their teeth at Vets Park for
Yeah.
many, many years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come out and enjoy us out there.
and bring your skateboard and skate the skate park.
Great. Yeah, who knows? Tony Hawk may be there now that he knows. He may indeed. He has been there before. He opened the park.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
All
That's
right.
cool.
So that makes me wonder, though.
Yes.
Speaking of Tony Hawk,
Yes.
what you working on?
What am I working on? Oh my goodness. So here's the thing, Mr. Dave Pellin.
What's the
I have
thing?
not been working on many bikes this week. I can't think of anything that's like worth mentioning other than just mundane things. So actually probably the most significant thing I've been working on is Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
Getting the van ready
For
to be sold.
Oh, what? You giving up on cyclocross?
No, but I decided that I'm probably not going to do any more pitting and supporting at the big races that I go to.
Yep. You can actually enjoy
I'm gonna go
it?
back to being super fan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna retire my number from that.
Yeah.
So I decided, if I don't do any more of that, I'm probably not going to do. I don't really need this big, huge Sprinter van. So I've been cleaning it out. I'm going to have it at both Cincy and Indy. I'm not selling.
Are you going to Cincy?
I'm not selling. Oh, of course. I'm not selling it before those races, not before the the end of this cyclocross season. But in the meantime, I just am getting it ready. I'm getting tools out, getting everything.
Yeah. You're keeping it in the family, I understand.
Maybe. We'll see. I don't want to say that too, but someone very familiar to us is considering purchasing it, which would be cool. And I really hope that happens. Yeah. And I think it will. And that's going to be awesome. So, so I've been getting that thing all straightened out and just, not that it was in bad shape, but it's like a lot of work. All the tools that were in it, getting those out.
And it's tricky to turn back the odometer on that. You got to figure out how to do that.
It's digital, so you actually have to program. But I'm going to be parking in vendor parking for both Cincy and Indy. With the van, you'll see the big Bike Shop CX logo on the side. Please, if you are there, come by and say hi.
Yeah, come by, say hi.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, we'll be like within speaking distance from one another.
You're going to be up on the stage at Cincy for sure. I know that.
For sure, yep.
So just come by. I mean, especially if you see me in the tent by myself, even if I'm working on stuff, come on in.
Yeah,
come in
he
tent.
loves to be interrupted.
It's probably going to be cold, so I'm going to have everything. I'm just going to have it, probably just have it zipped up with the heater on. So please, come on in.
Come in. I'll tell you, there's nothing that Scotty D likes more than you come in, just push yourself in, come in, put your coffee cup down, your nice hot coffee, put it on his workbench next to all of his tools that he'll have there. Hopefully you'll have his turntables. Put your coffee on the turntable and see it spin.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, for this kind of setup, when I'm doing this, the more the merrier. Come in, like, bug me. That's fine. if someone else is not dependent on me getting their bike fixed in the next 3 minutes,
for sure,
then I don't mind if someone bothers me.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing, is just kind of getting that thing ready to go. It looks so nice. But I'm still going to races. I have everything planned out. We'll still be going to races, be doing hopefully more recording stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll of course still be working on bikes, just not doing races, just because it's so much work.
It is a ton of work. And I mean, it's not that you can't do it or choose not to do it.
It's for the young folks. Yeah. It's for the young folks now, right? Once you get once you get over age 50, it's so funny. Mark Legg and I were talking about this too, because he's over 50 now too.
Oh.
And he's like, we're like, it's like somebody throws a switch and everything just starts like being 5 times the effort, It's not that you can't do anything. It's just like everything is more difficult. So, and I kind of joking with that, right?
Yeah.
Obviously I could keep doing this if I wanted to, but it's just time to do other things, to spend more time doing the recordings at the podcast. One of the things I don't get to do when I go to races and I'm wrenching is watch the races.
Yeah.
I almost never get to see the women's race. When I'm there, because I'm prepping someone's bike who's racing in the men's race. Yeah. So you just get
like
very
when you were supporting some of the women, or when I was lucky enough to get to be responsible for Rebecca Gross.
Yeah.
You're prepping in the women's race. You're standing in the pit in the women's race, so you don't really get to see it other than when it goes right by in front of you. And then you're cleaning bikes and doing everything else. Post-race, you don't get to watch the races after either.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So if I'm pitting for someone in the women's race, then correct. I missed the entire men's race because I'm doing that. So anyways, just the decision I made to do that. And so that's what I've been doing, man, is getting that Sprinter van ready to go.
Yeah,
so there you
that's
go.
Cool. That is cool.
And I mean, it just needed, I was still just getting it ready for Cincy because it had to be cleaned so much. Used the HydroShot scrubber brush on the windshield to get the bugs off. It worked well. We'll talk more about the HydroShot later.
I'm sure we will.
All right, that's what I'm working on, Mr. David Palin.
All right.
So let's move on.
Let's do it.
Speaking
of HydroShot.
No, of TNR-Tape.
TNR-Tape. Aaron. We're talking about you, Aaron.
I don't know if you're interested in TNR-Tape and you don't follow their Instagram account, You should, because
Even if you're not, unless you're afraid of being interested in it.
Yeah.
And we're talking about you, Jeff Weiner.
Aaron did a demo of, they've got the new 3.0 that's coming out?
Yeah.
And Aaron
3.0, I think 3 means you can wash it and dry it, and it still comes off.
Still remove it.
Yeah.
So they had the new 3.0 tape is coming out, and on Instagram they posted the testing of it that he's doing, and just really cool stuff of leaving it on the jersey for 24 hours, which some people have had small issues with in the past, and then washing it and then removing it and see how it comes out, and then washing it, drying it, letting it sit another day, and then removing it. That was the worst one, and on the 3.0 there was like a little...
Just a touch. But he managed to rub it off even with his finger.
And he just rubbed it off. Yeah, I was like, whoa, this is looking good. This looks really good. But you don't even have to wait for that to come out, because the 1.1 is like right there too. So I would definitely, if you're sick of having safety pins rip holes in your ridiculously expensive custom kit, check out TNR-Tape.
For sure.
It's the way, you can adhere your number to your skin suit without ruining it.
Yeah.
Even if you crash.
Don't crash.
Don't crash. But if you do,
it's okay.
It's think about the cost. Not only did you rip off your rear derailleur,
oops,
and now it's going to need adjusting, which we're going to talk about later.
We're here for you.
Now you've got a hole in your $275 skin suit.
And you know what? Even if you just like to throw $275 to the wind, now you got to wait, order it now, and hope it comes in for next spring.
So TNR-Tape does so much for cyclocross, you guys. Buy the Tyler Cloutier packet. Tyler. Since we've started recording this show, Mr. David Palin, this is a little bit of an adventure, because I got a text from our favorite Texar Canadian, Tyler Cloutier. He is taking on the challenge of gluing his own tubulars.
Oh, man, these spoiled pro athletes in there just drop the bike off and it comes back all done for them.
I always like to watch the videos of the racers that glue their own tubulars. Yeah. Many of them do very good jobs.
Did you see Adam Meyerson was gluing some?
Adam Meyerson can glue tubulars with anybody, right? I'm not going to even attempt to try and say that Adam Meyerson shouldn't glue his own tubulars. I'm not going to say Tyler shouldn't glue his own tubulars. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's not that difficult. There's no magic involved, right? This is not an art. It's just a matter of following the steps. Getting some experience, knowing what looks good, what looks bad, and going from there. So check it out.
TNR-Tape.com.
Buy the Sonny Gilbert package or the Tyler Cloutier package.
Yeah.
And it helps support their riding, guys. This is what we need. This is why we need. Remember, we got a question last week, or last show, I should say, Mr. Dave Pound,
about Becca, right?
About people. Yeah, don't these guys have more money? No, they don't.
No.
So when you do these little things and they get an extra amount of money that helps them pay a third of a plane ticket to get somewhere, that's really helpful.
Yeah. And you're coming out with the greatest non-pin product out there, and you will get something for it, and they will get something for it.
It's amazing to me how much we're seeing TNR-Tape everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like people are really starting to pick up on the idea.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I don't know if you've had this happen to you, Mr. Dave Pound, but when I show people TNR-Tape, one of the first things a lot of people say to me is, "Oh yeah, I tried that spray adhesive back in the day, and I didn't like it that much." And it's like, no. You didn't try.
Then you didn't try TNR-Tape,
right?
Because of that very experience. That's why we now have TNR-Tape.
Yes.
Yeah.
So don't make that mistake of thinking because you tried spray adhesive 5-10 years ago that ruined your kit. Yeah, that you know how this works, because it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
This is a whole different ball game. Way improved, and it's just awesome stuff. I think you'll really like it.
I used spray adhesive in the day. And
How many kits did you ruin?
None.
Okay. Go ahead.
None. You didn't have to use stuff to take it off, and it's actually sometimes it does get discolored, whatever. But the beauty of using the spray adhesive is it holds the number flat so you can pin it.
Yeah.
That's where it worked best.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you crashed, You're ripping holes. Even if you weren't crashing, you're placing holes in your very expensive skin suit.
Right.
Which now has a bunch of holes in it.
Right.
All right.
So, all right, check them out, TNR-Tape.com. We really thank you for going over there. If you have time, tell them that you heard about it on Bike Shop CX.
Bike Shop
Always appreciate it.
CX.
Mr. David Helen, we're ready for our tech topic.
Tech topics today. I think we have more than one even.
We have
We
several.
just like jump back in.
Yeah, we have, since this is a tech show, technically a tech show, we have some tech topics. One of the things, and the one I want to start with, is we're going to talk about mechanical rear derailleur adjustment. I've been getting so many people asking me about this lately. This is one of the most common things anybody asks any mechanic. It's always, you brought me a bike today
I did.
to work on.
I did.
What's the problem? What's one of the issues that
It
bike
doesn't
is in?
shift.
It doesn't. The rear shifting isn't working.
It's
right.
terrible.
Right. So,
By the way, that's not my bike. For those people out there, this was a bike that was. I'm just a courier. I do work on my own bike, and I do make a mess of my own bike and bring it here to Scotty D. But in this case,
and that's not
it's
to
not my
say
bike.
I know that bike originally, the shifting on it was set up properly because
I'm
who
not
did
so
it?
Sure. I'm not so sure.
Because who did it? I did it.
You did it.
But it's one of those things with your rear derailleur, stuff changes. One,
Yep.
cable stretch, of course, if you're doing a new cables, which is what happened to that one last time, so that can come into play. But the other thing, one of the most vulnerable areas on your bike is this thing that sticks off your back wheel and
That's
sticks,
hanging by a piece of aluminum alloy.
that's hanging out in the air waiting to catch and hit everything. Even when you're not riding it and it's sitting in your garage.
worst. That's the worst thing.
Yes, and someone...
If you have a basement and your basement's full of stuff,
Right.
it's
right.
going to bump into the rear derailleur and bend your derailleur.
And your
hanger.
bike is sitting in your garage, and your husband rolls in their lawnmower and
Darn you, husband!
smacks into your rear derailleur.
That's all it takes.
For your race bike or your kids or whoever, or they knock it over and don't tell you.
Or you just look at it strange.
That's right.
That's
so,
how these things bend.
Yeah, so it's just one of the most common things that goes out of whack
Right,
over
right.
and over and over and over again. So having a good understanding, and we've covered this before, we've done this topic before, but it's time to do it again because it's
is.
been a while. Want to run through the quick steps of mechanical. Also, another thing I want to say quickly about mechanical derailleurs. I know everyone's like, well, what about electronic shifting? That's all great. I love electronic shifting.
Zap shift. Remember Zap
It's
shift?
great for professional riders, but here's the thing. If you're going to race cyclocross, you're an age grouper or whatever, anything that's not an elite rider, right? And you are going to race cyclocross, it is, in my opinion, it is way better to spend less money on two bikes than it is to spend more money on one bike. So if your choice comes down to, I'm going to get this really expensive bike with all this electronic shifting, but then I'm not going to be able to afford two, that's a mistake compared to having two bikes with mechanical shifting.
If you own your bike and you're ready to just upgrade it, you think, I want to put more. Buy two mechanical rear derailleurs rather than one electronic on it.
I totally agree.
No, and don't try to put two on at the same time.
Right. No, that'd be a mistake.
Yeah.
But if you can afford two bikes with electronic shifting, great.
Yeah.
Not an issue.
Different show. We'll talk about that on another show.
But here's the thing, too.
If you can afford two bikes with electronic shifting,
yes,
you better be a wide angle podium supporter.
That's so true. So true. So anyways, I just want to make it clear. There is still plenty of room for mechanical shifting, especially in cyclocross, because we tend to fall down more often.
We break things.
Stuff gets broken more often. And when you have to replace these things, it's far better to have it be a little bit more affordable.
Yeah.
Right? So mechanical shifting still should be a big, big player in cyclocross. So,
and it will be for a while.
And it will be for a while, maybe forever or so.
Yeah.
And then there's like the whole idea that a bicycle is a mechanical device, but we won't even get to that argument.
Oh, here we go.
All
I'm
right,
the retro grouch. We're getting one with canty brakes.
All right, so we're gonna run through the steps and kind of some of the thinking that might help you if you're adjusting your derailleur. One of the other things I want to mention is because I don't always go through all these steps, Mr. David Palin, in perfect sequence and do every single one. Because once you
No, this is a troubleshooting thing.
Kind of. But once you get this process down and you get a really firm understanding of what's going on with the rear derailleur, you can make shortcuts in your head, right? You'll see something acting a certain way, and you immediately know to jump
when that happens,
jump to this part and do this, boom, 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 and then it's going again, and everything's good. So I don't necessarily go through every single one of these steps every single time I do a rear derailleur, but this is to get people started. If you do this, you're not going to miss anything either. So, all right, first thing, Mr. Dave Pound.
Yes, sir.
With today's modern index derailleurs, first thing you have to have straight.
Thing number one.
Before you even start trying to dial in your index shifting is...
Derailleur hanger.
Derailleur hanger.
We don't even have the derailleur on yet.
We don't even have the derailleur on yet, and we got to straighten the hanger. It is derailleur hanger on index shifting, especially 8-speed, you can kind of fudge it some. But once you get to 9, 10, 11, and of course 12, it becomes more and more important. That derailleur hanger being straight is of very high importance on getting this job done right and simply. All right, so what I want to do is think about your rear derailleur adjustment in 3. I think it gets confusing because people think there's all these steps and all this stuff you got to remember. But if you break it down into 3 things, okay? H limit screw.
Yes.
Indexing.
Yes.
And L limit screw.
H being high, L being low. And you're going to explain which ones because nobody ever remembers which is high, which is low.
So H is, of course, the one with the least amount of teeth, the smallest gear on the rear wheel. And L is the one with the most amount of teeth, the largest gear. The one closest to the spokes is the low gear. The one farthest from the spokes is the high gear.
Yes.
All right. Your hanger is straight. We're going to check our H limit screw. First thing, put the chain in the front on the largest ring.
Yes.
If you only have a single ring, obviously, whatever ring it's on is the largest ring.
Yes.
And then we're going to assume everybody's doing this on a cyclocross bike with drop bars. So we're not going to get into all mountain bike and whatever. So go to your right shifter. Make sure that is clicked all the way out.
Now we're talking to primarily our non-UK listeners.
Right.
Because we know in the UK...
or in Australia.
Yes. The toilets don't flush the other way in Australia.
Right.
But the shifting tends to be the opposite of what we see in the States.
So whichever shifter is your rear shifter, I should have said, click that all the way out. The point that we're trying to get at, I'm assuming we're going to say the derailleur's on the bike.
Okay.
All right. We're not going to get into
install,
Loctiting, and all that stuff.
Right.
So the derailleur's on the bike and the cable's connected. It had some form of shifting before. You took it off, you straightened your hanger, you screwed it back on, everything's good to go. Okay. So the point we're trying to get at is one starting point, one thing to think about in your head is when you're starting this is the bike should run smoothly in the large ring in the front and the large gear on the back, right?
Chained?
No, the large gear. Meaning
large gear.
Yeah.
Small
set. The smallest number of teeth, the largest gear. So, and it should do that with no cable tension.
Correct.
Okay, so the only thing when the only thing holding the derailleur is the H limit screw,
right?
That gear should run, and it's in the big ring in the front. That gear should run smooth with no excess noise
on either direction. It shouldn't be trying to shift.
Shouldn't be trying to shift. Shouldn't be throwing the chain if you pedal backwards. Nothing. It should be a smooth gear as if you were riding it and everything were great in that high gear. So that's the status we're trying to get to when we start. All right, is to get to that point. So. Rear shifter all the way out, so we're taking all the pressure off of it, right? H limit screw, turn back it out so that it's not inhibiting the anything, right?
Cage, yep.
It might start to throw your chain off into the frame. When that happens, stop, right?
Yes.
You don't want that to happen. And your shifter all the way out, everything's backed all the way out. So also to do this, you might have to decrease your cable tension because one of the things that could be holding the derailleur from being all the way out is the tension on the cable.
Yep. Here's a little trick that I learned from a bike mechanic by the name of Scotty D.
Oh, geez.
Years ago, was to loosen the cable tension when you install it. Right? Really, where we are right now. No tension on the cable.
Right.
Install it, but before you do that, back out the barrel adjuster maybe 2, 3, 4 clicks.
Yeah.
So that then once you have it in there, you can adjust it in and out. Don't just leave it where it was.
Right, exactly. So whatever you do, whatever you back that out, say 3 complete turns of the barrel adjuster, just remember that number because you're gonna need to know that in a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So you should have 0, and you should actually even be able to see that there's no tension on the cable in the
Should have a little slack to it.
Yeah, from the pinch bolt to where the housing goes in the rear derailleur, you can actually see that this isn't tight like a banjo string anymore. It's got some curve to it because it's got slack in there now.
Right.
Okay, so we got none of that cable tension holding that, and the limit screw is backed out, and it's kind of almost wanting to throw the chain into the frame.
Right.
Okay, at this point, we're going to start work the pedals, work the crank, right? Get some motion going there, and take your screwdriver or hex wrench, whichever one you got, and tighten that H screw until it just almost wants to shift into the next gear up.
Right.
Right?
So that's in the opposite direction, peoples. We went from just throwing it off to the
Correct.
to the frame side to now just wanting to push it up to the
to the second gear in the stack.
Right.
Yeah. So we're just tightening as we pedal. We'll start, and everything will sound great.
And then it'll go.
And then it'll start going. Now, here's one thing to think about this.
Okay, I'm thinking.
There was a whole range of you turning that limit screw where it ran well, right?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that chain can be. You might think that chain can be, and this is important when we get to indexing. There's more than just keep this in the back of your head as a mechanic or just someone working on your bikes. There is not only a single chain position that works.
Correct.
Right? There's a small range of tension on that derailleur that all works fine, that's not causing any noise, and that's all going to give you optimal drive strength on that gear. Okay? So when you get a little bit too far, you start to push it into the next one, that's when you start getting that and that kind of stuff. So you're a little bit too tight. When you get to that point where it's making that noise that it's about to shift to the next gear up, back off your limit screw a quarter turn. Quarter turn, that noise should go away. If it doesn't, do another quarter turn. Right? And then that's where we're going to start our indexing adjustment.
Sure.
Make sense? All right, so that's all we got to do. Now we know in that with no cable, when you're in that high gear, your derailleur should actually be resting on the limit screw to run when it runs well with little to no cable tension, and then the first shift should move it up into the next gear. But on the high gear, it should run being on the limit screw. This is an important concept because this is the starting point for everything else. So you need to wrap your head around this fact that in the high gear, the derailleur runs on the limit screw.
Gotcha.
Okay, indexing. When you think of indexing, don't think of it as individual gears or individual shifts.
Okay.
Think of it as a stack of shifts. All right? If you're looking down at your cassette, say we're going to say 11 speed just for the heck of it, right?
Okay.
You got 11 speeds, right? You're looking straight down. You have 11 spots where that chain can run up and down. When you change the tension on that cable, you're not just moving one of those lines. So say there's a line on each gear, right? You're looking down, and each gear is a parallel line, right? You're looking down at those. When you move the barrel adjuster, you don't just move one of those lines relative to the other lines.
Yes.
You move all 11 lines.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Mind blown.
Can you picture this in your head, Mr. David
I
Pam?
can now.
Yeah, you're looking down at the cassette. Each gear is a parallel line. And when I move that barrel adjuster, all 11 lines move up or all 11 lines move back.
Yeah.
I'm not moving one line relative to the others. That's important.
I got it. I'm with you again.
All right, so this is just the way to think of indexing. You are moving everything. All the gears are moving at once, okay? And the reason why the spacing of those is controlled by the shifter. So
the spacing?
The spacing between from one line to the next is a set thing in the shifter that you can't change.
Oh, yeah. The amount of that the derailleur will move with each click.
Right. Right. So every time you click that shifter,
I'm with you again.
The derailleur moves a set amount that you have no control over.
No control. I'm getting used to no control.
This is why a Shimano shifter won't work with a SRAM rear derailleur. Because that distance, that ratio, well, I'm sorry.
You saw my face. You saw I had a weird face on there. He meant Campy Nolo.
This is why a Campy won't work with a SRAM or Shimano is because that spacing is different, right? Until you get to 11 speed where everybody...
Where it's different, but it's
so close that it doesn't matter.
Practically the same.
Because every gear, as we said, has a range that it works in, right? Like we just discovered when we were doing that limit screw. So when you move the barrel adjuster, you're moving all 11 shifts at once, not individual shifts. So just think about that. Okay, so when you're doing your indexing, again, keep your chain on the front, on the crank. Keep it either on the large chain ring, or if you have a triple, put it on the middle ring. So when you, the 3 turns that you use to loosen, put slack into the cable. Now you're going to add those back. So you're going to add with counterclockwise turns. You're going to add tension, that same amount that you took off. You're going to add that tension back. So you're kind of in the realm of where the derailleur will shift.
Gotcha.
If you tried to shift when you had taken 3 full turns of the barrel adjuster,
it'd be kind of floppy.
It wouldn't. You'd click and nothing would happen.
You'd be taking that space up, basically.
Yeah, right.
But
you're
you
taking
wouldn't
that
shift.
slack out with the shift lever. So we're just kind of getting it back into the realm of shifting again. So here's a little way to think of, a lot of times the barrel adjusters can be very confusing, Mr. David Pelham.
I'm often confused because when you talk about high and low, I understand.
You just forget which way to turn it,
You
right?
forget which way to turn it, and a lot of them aren't marked.
No, they're not marked. Yeah. So here's one way on the rear derailleur barrel adjuster. One way to think about it.
Okay.
When you want the derailleur to move in one direction, either towards the center of the bike or away from the center of the bike, you simply turn the barrel adjuster in that direction. So if the shift cage of the rear derailleur is not going far enough and you need it to go a little bit farther towards the center, you turn the barrel adjuster the way you want it to go.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a very helpful way to think of the barrel adjuster.
Yep.
You turn it in the direction that you want the derailleur to go. All right. So you put those 3 turns of the barrel adjuster back in, so you have some kind of tension on that cable. All right. So you turn the pedals again, and you click the rear shifter 1 click.
1 click.
Okay.
And it should just ping, be there.
And it's going to shift right
like
into
a dream.
No, there's 2 possible outcomes. 1, it doesn't shift. It stays in the high gear, and maybe gets noisy, but maybe doesn't even do that.
Yep.
Okay, so let's deal with that first.
Okay.
So you added your three turns to get some tension back. You click the shifter while you're pedaling, and it doesn't shift. All right, so what you want to do at that point is release that shift that you just did. Click that back down.
Go back to where you were.
Back down to the start. Turn the barrel adjuster 1 full turn counterclockwise. Okay. So that's towards the bike, 1 full turn, 360 degrees. All right. Right. Keep while you're pedaling. Now repeat that shift.
Okay.
Okay. If it goes up, don't worry about it being perfect. Okay.
No. Perfect is not what we're looking for here.
We just want it to go up into that next gear. Right.
Okay. Yep.
If it does that, you're good.
You're good.
All right.
Yep.
If it doesn't do that, just keep repeating that process. Go back down, turn it another full shift, another full turn on the barrel adjuster, keep pedaling, and then click it. And keep adding tension 1 full turn at a time until whenever you click, it goes up into that next gear.
Here's where I've had problems in the past when I was starting this. So maybe something useful. At what point do you give up? No, I don't mean like give up and say, I'm going to take up bowling, right? I mean, give up and say, I have to readjust the cable at the pinch bolt because now I have no play left in one direction or the other with the barrel adjuster.
With the barrel adjuster. Yeah, if you notice that your barrel adjuster, like if you look at the housing and you see the inner part of the barrel adjuster that's rising out of the turn part, if you notice, those are about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit longer deep.
Yeah.
If you notice, if you're getting close to that 1/4, then it's time to reset.
Okay.
That, yes. And all you got to do for that is undo your pinch bolt, release your tension, Lower your barrel adjuster back
in.
I usually do it a little bit less than centered.
Okay.
And then reattach the pinch bolt, and now you've taken all that slack out, and now you have more travel in the barrel adjuster again. So, okay, the second outcome. Now we're jumping back in our head. The second outcome, we've just taken the tension out. We're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
The first time you push that shifter while you're pedaling, it double shifts.
Ooh, yeah.
It goes up 2.
I've done that.
Yeah. So, all right. So shift back down if this happens,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
Keep pedaling. Release the tension. Let it shift back down.
Mm-hmm.
Turn their barrel adjuster one full turn the opposite way, clockwise,
Yeah.
to let tension out. Shift again, and it usually works the first time because it's a set amount of tension and we're releasing the equal amount. The reason the other one might not work the first time is because we don't know how much slack could be in the cable.
Right.
Could be tons.
Right.
So you might have to do that one over and over. This one, we know there's enough tension in the cable to make it shift. It's just going a little bit too far.
Mm-hmm.
So we know, you're pretty sure one turn is going to release enough to make it only go one.
Should do it, right.
But if it doesn't, you can still do that again. But it usually only takes one turn if you're getting a double shift to come back. All right. So that's it. We're ballpark. We're not. And you might think, well, what about all the other gears?
We're not worried about that yet.
But what did we already cover?
They are equidistant.
They're all the same.
Yeah.
You got to think of them as one thing. And what we've just done is set up the gross adjustment of those 11 shifts on our cassette.
Right.
Just by doing the first one.
Yeah. And key here, we've talked about it, I'm going to repeat it, is that you have a straight derailleur hanger, because you can do these steps over and over again and get it shifting perfectly in these two positions.
Yeah.
If your derailleur hanger is not straight, forget about it.
Because that bend, even though it's perfect at one end, is going to magnify over that distance of travel, and that's when you get problems. Yeah, it's one of the primary reasons that you need a straight derailleur.
Take the time and straighten your derailleur hanger. You're going to thank us for that.
Yes. All right. So now we're going to fine tune this indexing so we can get it where we want it to be, so that it's shifting really well. Okay.
I'm with you.
Chain is still on the second gear that we just shifted it into, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why? We're going to adjust it from here up to the next ones. Why would we not want to do this from the high gear like we just did? Why would we not want to go down to the bottom? If we're going to fine tune our indexing, why would we not want to be on that bottom gear? Any ideas?
Oh.
What else could be influencing this down there?
B-screw?
No, the H limit screw could be.
Oh, yeah, because we didn't adjust the H limit screw. Yeah, the
So-
LH.
The L we haven't done yet, but
Right.
the H limit screw could be interfering. So we don't want that to happen.
No.
So we're going to do this from the second up to the third, where we're going to fine tune our indexing.
Gotcha.
So with the chain still on that second gear, like we said, you want to add tension. So pedal crank the crank.
Tension's building.
And with your barrel screw now, and it might be running well in the second gear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it might be running poorly in the second gear. We're going to add tension, right, until we just start to get that excess noise as if it wants to shift up into the third.
Here we go again.
Right?
Yeah.
This is a common thing in bike maintenance. Okay, is you adjust things a little bit too tight, and then you decrease to come back
Like
a
when
little
you're
bit.
dealing with torque. You go up until
Exactly.
it breaks,
and then
and then back one click.
Right.
I remember now.
No, but this technique is used in wheel hubs. It's used in headsets. It's used in some bottom brackets. It's used over and over and over again. So this is the same idea. You're going to, while in that second gear, pedal, add tension at the barrel adjuster, so counterclockwise until it's just starting to make noise.
Mm-hmm.
If it is making noise, do a quick check around the back of the bike. Make sure that noise is coming from the fact that the chain is trying to jump up onto the third gear.
Right.
Just double check that that's what the noise is.
And
really
not
quick.
that you have a rag stuck in it
Not
or something.
Right,
Yeah.
or something else funny going on. Or maybe you haven't added tension yet and it's actually undershifting and it's really making noise on the back one.
Oh, yeah.
You want to make sure, okay, that means I need to keep going through the good shift zone and into the next noise-making area. So, yeah, make sure that's where the noise is causing. And then when you're sure it's making slight noise, shifting into the third gear,
Yep.
turn it back a quarter turn until the noise is gone.
Again, this is the barrel adjuster.
The barrel
what we're
adjuster.
turning. We're not turning the limit screws anymore,
Limits-
people.
No,
They're in place.
no. Well, the H is. The L
Correct.
is not yet.
Right.
Yeah. All right, now when you've got this and it's running good in that gear,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason, well, you might be going like, well, it was running good before I did this. Why did I have to make noise and then take that noise back when it wasn't making noise in the first place?
Scotty D, that was starting to cross my mind.
The reason is we want the cable tension to be as tight as possible,
Oh, yeah.
but it still run well.
Okay.
And that is why we just did what we did. We might have been running well before, but with not optimal cable tension.
Right.
So
Yeah.
now we are running well in that gear and we have optimal cable tension at the same time. This is important because now as we run through the other 11 gears of that cassette with optimal cable tension, we know we are getting the best shift through that cassette each and every time.
Right.
Okay?
That makes sense.
So at this point, go through your gears one at a time while you continue to pedal and check for noise.
And you shouldn't hear much.
No, if you're really lucky, it'll shift through every single gear without making any noise.
Mhm.
If you shift into one gear and it makes a little bit of noise, why would this happen, you might ask? Because it's an imperfect world, Mr.
Scotty
David.
D, why would that happen?
I have $500 Campagnola Super Record 11-speed cassettes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That aren't perfectly spaced.
That's
right?
not true.
No matter what, right? The spacing is not going to be dead on no matter how much you pay for your cassette. It's just the fact of manufacturing is things are not perfect. So you might
But with
come across...
Campy, they'll send somebody out. A little guy in a white jumpsuit comes out
Right.
and shifts it for you.
Right. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. So if that happens where you shift into a gear and you hear it making noise like it wants to go one gear farther than what you shifted it to, back that tension off another quarter turn.
Right. Okay.
What you will discover, like we did when we were adjusting the H limit screw, is that doesn't affect the other gears because you're still within that range of operable. So we're finding the range where we get all 11 gears to run smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that won't affect everything else because you've just moved it a little bit, that all those 11 lines and everything is still good. Go back down and then reshift into that gear and see if it's gone away. If it hasn't, you can do another. You shouldn't have to do more than two. If you do, go back and double check where we started from in that second gear.
Yeah.
And
If
recheck
it
your
takes more than
indexing.
two, then you maybe want to thinking about that derailleur hanger again.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. It could be. All right. Go all the way up to, don't go to the lowest gear, right?
Right.
Leave that one. Just go to the second to the low gear as you shift in. All right.
Now, as you build
Yeah.
up one,
Mm-hmm.
are you checking the lower ones too to make sure they're still
What do you mean?
optimal?
You mean like going back down the
Yes, to
cassette?
the ones that you've already done.
Not yet.
Okay.
So you're going up, 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 shift, good.
Okay.
You get to that second to the last one and stop. At that point, we just don't want to go up there till we know what's going on a little bit with the low limit screw because we don't want to throw the chain into the
Because then
spokes.
you'll be wishing you had yourself a dork disc on your bike.
Right. All right. At this point, shift one at a time back down to the high gear, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you notice the bike that there's a very slow shift down,
Right.
that's another sign that you still have slightly too much cable tension.
Too much, right?
Right. So go ahead at that point and do it another quarter turn clockwise of the barrel adjuster
Right.
to loosen it yet another quarter turn, and then you'll find that it drops into that gear much quicker. Okay, now we're going to do all we got left is the low limit.
That's it.
That's it.
Almost done.
So on the low limit, either be in the small ring or the middle ring
Right.
if you have a triple. You don't want to be on some little granny gear on the front.
No,
Is
no,
basically
no.
what we're saying.
Yeah.
We want to be inboard in the front with the chain,
Right. But still have enough tension.
but we don't want to be on some little 20-tooth granny, bailout crank gear. So be in the middle if you have a triple, or the small if you have a double. Now go ahead and carefully
carefully.
shift back up to that low gear that we just told you not to go into, right?
Now we can go into it.
So, all right, so you get to this, you get one gear away from that low gear, Mr. David Palin.
I'm with you.
Right, and you're about to make that shift for the first time up into that lowest of
You
gears.
see, you might be sweating. I'm sweating.
So be careful, and as you shift it, there's a couple outcomes. One, it won't go up.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
it's really, you'll shift it and it kind of pauses. It takes a second, it makes a bunch of noise, struggles, and then maybe goes up.
Yep.
That is a sign that, what? Do you want to say?
I would think that your limit screw is just a little bit too tight.
Absolutely. Your limit screw is too tight. It's actually out too far so that the derailleur won't travel up as far as it needs to go towards the spokes.
Not as far as it needs to go smoothly.
Right. So in that case, you just back off your L limit screw a quarter of a turn.
Yep.
And then try it again. And keep doing that.
Doing it again carefully because we don't want
Well, you don't have to be as careful this time because you know it's not going to go into the wheel because you know
a quarter turn isn't enough to do that.
No.
Okay.
And you know it was too tight a minute ago. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So back off a quarter turn and shift and see if it's better and keep doing that until it shifts into that low gear easily and like you want it to.
And if it goes into your spokes, you've gone too far.
Yes.
And send those nasty grams too.
You should be able to notice that it's shifting into that gear easily and well before you keep backing that thing up any farther.
So when the phone rings, key thing, when your wife, your husband, your spouse, your partner, your children call you.
Yeah.
Ignore the call. Finish this process so you know where you are.
Right, because it sounds like we're done right now, but this
you're
is
not.
the most important part. Here's what happens over and over and over again, Mr. Dave Palin. This is the part that so many people skip.
Yeah.
They're down one.
I already left for my ride 20 minutes ago.
They're down one gear from the top,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're going to shift into that low gear for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our first scenario was that they do it and it won't go,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So instead of that happening, they shift. It goes right up on there.
Ooh, yeah.
Nice and smooth. Everything's great. And they're
Yeah.
like,
Done.
I'm done.
Bingo. Oh.
I dropped my pen. I'm done. Bike is done.
No. The
No.
answer is no.
The problem is you have no idea how loose that low limit screw
Right.
is. So what you have to do, just like we've been talking about, you have to tighten that low limit screw. So shift back down to the previous gear.
Till it actually limits.
Tighten that limit screw by at least half turns
Mhm.
until it either won't shift
Yep.
or shifts really poorly
Yep.
up into that. Once you get to that point, then you back that limit screw off by quarter turns and keep trying until now you get a good shift up
Right.
there.
Yeah.
And now you know that limits, you always want both limit screws to be as tight as possible
While
but
still allowing it to shift.
to hit every single gear.
That makes
Correct.
sense.
So now you've done that. You're good to go, and you're
good.
You've done your H screw, you've done your indexing, and you've done your L screw. One of the things we did not talk about, Mr. David Palin, is the B screw. Well, you mentioned it,
Man,
but
I wanted to go for a ride an hour ago.
Do you know what B stands for?
Yes.
What?
Before you're done, you have to adjust the B screw.
No,
I used to know what it was
It
stood
actually
for.
stands for body angle screw.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we'll do a quick. Here's the thing with the B screw. People, you ever see on like bike forums when people get real excited about the B screw? Like,
Yeah.
like ridiculously excited. about the B
Yeah,
screw.
like they're faking it.
like,
It's fake.
Like every shifting problem is because of the B screw.
Yeah, yeah.
In their mind.
They're just happy that they know that there's a screw on there called the B screw.
All right, so to
It's like
check-
people that know that it actually refers to the
body angle.
Body
screw.
angle.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right, so to just check your B screw quickly, you want to be in the small ring in front or the medium if you have a triple, right?
Yep.
And you want to be in the low gear on the rear wheel, which is the one with the
biggest
most teeth, right?
right,
So
yep.
your chain is way inboard. Okay.
Gotcha.
You want approximately from the G pulley, what Shimano calls the G pulley, which is the top pulley wheel on the
Yeah.
derailleur, and the teeth of that low gear. You want approximately 5 to 6 millimeter gap.
Yeah.
A good way to check this is with the 5 or 6 millimeter hex wrench.
Good.
You
tip
can hold
there.
it
Yeah.
right up there
Yeah.
and be like, okay, that's 5 millimeters, right?
Yeah.
And that's good.
Now,
If
is
you-
that 5 millimeters to the pulley wheel, 5 millimeters to the chain.
To the teeth of the pulley wheel.
Okay.
From the teeth of the pulley wheel to the teeth of the cassette.
Okay.
If you tighten the B screw,
Mm-hmm.
that gap gets bigger. If you loosen the B screw, that gap gets smaller.
Right.
So
Pretty straightforward.
that's all you got to do. You're shooting for 5 to 6 millimeters. If you have to make a very large adjustment to get it, I'm not
Now we
talking
gotta go
about
back.
a little tiny turn or something just to get it a little bit. If you have to make a major adjustment at this point,
Yep.
once you get it,
You got to index it again.
go back and double check your indexing really quickly and make any adjustments there that might be needed.
So you're telling me, really, I need to start this the night before my ride?
No, I do this in like 30 seconds.
I don't know. It's been taking an awful long time to describe it.
Because like I said, once you do this, you'll make jumps in your head
All right. Okay.
to like, eliminate some of these steps. So, all right, that's rear derailleur adjustments. If people, Mr. Dave Palin, if people have questions about how to do this,
Just call you. I'm not even involved in this one, man.
where should they send
The text?
their emails?
emails? bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
That's bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
Send us a email and
Yeah.
get your tech question.
And Scotty D will go over it all again with you.
Especially if you have questions about shifting,
Yeah.
rear derailleur adjustments and stuff like that. We love those. So, all right, Mr. David Palin.
I'm sure there's somebody out there that has a problem that they have tried this very process that didn't correct it.
Yeah, and they're like,
and we
I
will
can't-
hear from them.
I can't figure it out. I don't know.
Send it to us at
bikeshopshow
gmail.com.
All right, Mr. David Palin,
Yes,
you
sir.
are going to tell us about
Can I talk about the Dart?
the Dart.
The Dodge Dart?
Do we-
Because people talk about us like we are the click and clack of the bike world.
We're old school, just like the Dodge Dart.
Just like the Dodge Dart. Yeah. So you've seen from stands the new Dart,
Yeah.
and you've thought, hey, you know why? That looks just like the tranquilizer darts that were used on Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. That must be why they call it the Dart.
Yeah.
No.
It makes sense to me.
No.
What?
No, it's the dual action repair for tubeless. DART.
Nice.
Dual action repair for tubeless.
Leave it to our friends at Stan's
Notubes.
to come up
And-
with not only innovative products,
But cool name.
cool name.
So when we look at these things, and I was going to come right to that point that who else but the innovator in tubeless would I trust for the innovation in tubeless repair? Many
Exactly.
people, especially mountain bikers, they use tubeless and have been going tubeless for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They find that they get gashes that just the tubeless sealant isn't enough to seal that gash, whether it's in the sidewall or in the tread.
Yeah, because it has to be the sealant has to physically be able to fill that hole, and
Right.
it's thin because you want it to move around. So if it's thin, it has limits to how big of a hole it can actually plug.
Exactly.
It's
Now,
great
some of
for
that-
little pinholes,
Right.
Right.
If you run over a nail or something
Yeah.
like that, or a
Yeah.
thorn. And that's why we see people use glitter
yeah,
in it,
they'll
something to
add
take up
glitter
a
to
little
their
bit of
sealant.
space.
Yeah,
At some point, that hole is big enough that
it ain't
no
gonna-
amount of glitter.
right.
You can have glitter from the entire Pride Parade.
You can fill the tire with glitter.
Exactly. Ain't going to happen.
It ain't gonna help.
So we've gone to technology that was used for many years in automobile tires and truck tires. Basically taking a slab of some material, often rubber,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes polymers or whatever, taking an awl
Yep.
and actually
Yep.
creating a big enough hole to then use a special pushing tool
Right.
that's sharp to
Yep.
push into that hole and basically leave a strip of whatever it is in there,
Mhm.
which helps seal it and makes the hole small enough around this
The sealant.
slab of bacon you've put in there that can now fill with sealant
Right.
and fill the hole.
Yeah. It
Couple of things with that.
decreases the one. Those are usually like sticky, gummy, gross, nasty.
Yeah. And the tools are long and sharp.
Yeah. Right.
couple of
something,
things there,
Something
right?
you certainly want to put in your saddlebag right next to your spare inner tube,
That's right. While you're reaching in there, you will find it. So a couple of innovations here. And especially if you have a hole in your tread, every time you go over that, if it doesn't, that mechanism or that motion doesn't pull it out,
Right.
you're going thump, 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 which is good if you don't have a visual
Yeah.
odometer. You can now know how fast you're going just by the feeling of that coming through your saddle. Right?
Right.
This is not where Stans was
No,
thinking.
unless you're going to also travel with a pair of side cutters that you can use to
You
cut
could use side cutters or a knife or whatever.
Carry
But
side-
then when you're doing that, you are risking making it so that no longer fills that space.
Right.
And now you're reaching for the tube.
Right.
Okay. There's the problem. Or some problems.
Right. There's
That
the problem
Stans-
with the current solutions
Right.
even. Right.
This is where Stans was coming to address this.
Yeah.
And the dart is basically a tool that has a little fluffy, I don't even know what to call this,
Yeah. I'm
polymer material
yeah,
on it
Yeah.
that's attached to a plastic barb
Mm-hmm.
that's on a carbon. We like it already because I use the word
Yeah.
carbon.
Carbon in it. What?
What? A carbon little post that is used to press the that fluffy thing
Yeah.
into the hole.
Right.
Now, it is very soft as opposed to the other strips that you're pushing in there of rubber or whatever, which pushes and widens the hole and puts stress on that hole.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it's soft. It goes in. You can push it in, and I wouldn't push it in violently, but you could push it in fully and not have to worry because you had a sharp object you were pushing in before. And if you push it in too far, you've now put a hole in your stand's rim tape,
Right.
and now it'll never seal.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
The only hope you have is that the sealant, that hole isn't too big for the sealant to seal
Exactly,
the rim
right?
tape. Right.
Now you can push this in. It has the plastic tip actually comes off of the applicator.
It stays in the tire. Yeah.
and holds the fluffy feather
Mm-hmm.
in place, which then chemically reacts with the sealant to make the tire hole disappear.
Yeah.
It basically,
Yeah.
it unites with the tire and becomes as one.
Yeah.
Now we're not sealing a hole so much as we are completing the tire,
Right.
so to
Exactly.
speak,
Exactly.
right?
Now, what happens with this little fluffy stuff sticking out of your tire?
You just ride over it, and over time, you could take with a knife or a pair of scissors and cut it.
Right, but you don't need to.
You don't need to because it is not a very viscous, hard material that's
Right.
going to thump,
Especially
thump,
the part
it
that's
wears
outside
out.
the tire that hasn't reacted with the sealant yet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Yep.
so that stuff just wears off and wears right down to the level of
the tire.
Yeah,
and
so
you are
after
good to go.
a
And
short distance,
Yeah.
it's back to. One thing is, like you said, that pointed, I think it's plastic applicator that goes in the tire and stays inside.
yep,
Just be careful. If you then down the road at some point put an inner tube in that tire,
yeah,
make sure you pull that plastic thing out. 'Cause
yeah, for sure.
but I mean, that's not hard. That's going to end up wherever. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a very simple thing. The other thing, because that post is carbon fiber,
It's light as heck,
it's really light.
and it's aerodynamic.
And you can fly with it. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
much less likely to cause a problem with flying with it, for mechanics that fly.
Yeah, and for cyclists, because this is not just a mechanics tool.
Sure.
This is something that,
Yeah.
especially if you're a mountain biker, you're going out to Moab or
Yep.
or some Joshua Tree or some
Yep.
place that has the goat heads or thorns or whatever these
Yeah, this
places
is ideal
have.
for that.
This is ideal for that. You can
Yep.
travel with it.
Yeah.
It comes with 2 darts loaded. One on
Right.
it flips over in the dart tool. And the dart tool has, what does it have in it? A valve core remover.
Oh,
as
yes,
integrated
absolutely.
into the dart tool.
Yeah.
So if you need to add more sealant, you can do that.
You can do that.
Yeah.
The other thing, Mr. Dave Pound. So
Yeah.
we've got, when this came out, I was like, oh my God, this is like the coolest thing. One of the coolest things I've
because
ever
it's
seen.
fun to watch the video because
Drew Esherick.
Drew Esherick, friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Drew Esherick is doing the videos for the Stans Notube. But so the first thing I did is I went to buy one,
Yeah.
and so that we could look at it before we talked about it, and of course,
Sold out.
sold out already. So it's like, wow. So I get on the horn with Drew. I'm like, hey man, can you send me
Yeah.
one of these so we can review it on the show? He's like, yeah, it has not arrived yet. But we will do a look at it. I think, Mr. David Penn,
Yes,
we're
sir.
going to at some point do a quick, I might sacrifice a tire or something.
Yeah.
And we might actually use it and try and record just us describing how it works and what we think as we do it. So hopefully that'll get here soon, and we'll be able to give you a firsthand account of what's going on with the Stan's No-Tube Dart. I'm very confident. I'm very excited because I basically trust Stan's products.
We've talked about this before, and this is really right.
It.
We always have this discussion about duct tape or Gorilla Tape or whatever, and I can see steam coming out of your ears already when I bring to it. These are the kind of things that you get when you support the people that support our sport.
Exactly.
Stan's is about tubeless.
Right.
It's in their name.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Right.
They have not just said, okay, we're going to adapt this automobile technology and use it here.
Yep.
They are the innovators. And when you support the people that support our sport, you support the innovation from good people like Stan's No-Tubes.
Exactly. And they are not, we're not saying this because they're a sponsor.
Because they're not.
Because they're not.
Give us a call, Drew Eschrick.
All right. So the other tech thing we wanted to talk about, Mr.
Yes,
that's
sir.
awesome. Like we said, we'll bring you guys more about that once we get one. I know Drew said he sent it, so we just got to get it in the mail.
We trust him.
Have you seen this? Cane Creek has come out with a new, they've got a crank out for a while, 30 mil spindle crank. But they've come out with a new bottom bracket.
What?
Called the Hellbender.
It's a new standard, right?
No.
It
is just a PF30, right?
Yeah.
It's a thread. I want to be careful here. It's a thread through PF30.
Which I will tell you, much better than a PF30. That being a press fit, right? So this is, it's press fit in that it's not threaded in the on the ends.
Frame.
It's not threaded into the frame. It threads into itself, which pulls it in, compresses, press fitting it into the frame.
And with a thread through press fit bottom bracket, you should press the drive side. And then thread the non-drive side.
Right.
So for people that know what we're talking about, that will make sense. But it's basically you don't press in both sides. You press the drive side. You thread the non-drive side, and that threading actually the threads kind of act like the press, right? Except instead of a press, it's a pull.
It's a pull. It pulls the non-drive
side in, and you can do it to varying degrees of tightness. For a lot of people, thread through press fits have been the solution to their bottom bracket woes. The other thing that's going to be their solution to their bottom bracket woes is the bearings in the Hellbender.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it all about right now about it being the thread together, which is not the innovation here.
Right.
I mean, Wheels Manufacturing makes one.
Yes.
That's what's in my bike.
Yes.
But this becomes the innovation is the technology in the bearings.
Yeah. So the Hellbender bottom bracket looks like a really cool bottom bracket. I think it just came out. It might not even quite be out yet. It looks like a solid bottom bracket. If you need a new bottom bracket, I would highly recommend it. The one downside is it only comes in a 30 millimeter spindle right now.
Sell your bike. Get your bike now to have it. No.
So if you're a Holotech person, you're out of luck for now. They're saying, Cane Creek is saying, yes, that will be on its way soon. One of the reasons, so the innovative part of this Hellbender bottom bracket, one, it's the thread through is great, so it's the best of pressed in bottom brackets in my opinion. But there is the bearings that are inside this. This is why we're talking.
And
this is why we're talking about it. So the company SKF in Sweden. Are you familiar with them, Mr. Dave?
I am now.
So they are making they call it MTRX technology. They call it a solid polymer neo bearing.
Whoa!
I don't know what's new about it, but it is technically, it's still the main guts and how it works is still just basically a sealed bearing.
Yes.
Right?
Sort of.
But they've done all kinds of innovation to make it the absolute best that a sealed bearing can be, I think. So what is solid polymer? In the solid polymer is it's an oil-filled matrix of polymer. So it's very porous, right? And oil can run through it. So you picture a cutaway or a side cut of a sealed bearing, right? We're looking at the side.
Yep.
You got the two, what I'm going to call races, just for lack of a better word, right? the outer and the inner, and the bearings run in between those, right? Around in a circle. Between and around each one of those ball bearings, we normally pack grease, right? Instead of that is this porous polymer that is a solid that it gets injected in there and stays in there.
A solid.
And inside of it, because it's so porous, is this oil. So it's encased in this oil inside this polymer that is surrounding the balls of the bearing.
Yeah.
The other cool part is that polymer then pushes out and provides an outward force on the side seals on the bearing.
Of course, right.
Okay?
Yep.
So what we get to is this this polymer that's molded into this free space that's around all the bearings. It stays there. It doesn't leave. Mr. David
Even
Allen.
when I wash it with my Works Power Shot?
Even when
my
you
Hydro
wash
Shot?
it? Well, of course, they're like, avoid doing any of that you can. You still want to avoid doing that. But the reality is, yes, these things will stand up to more force than any other bearings that are around. Because this polymer is pushing out, these seals are held tight in place against to the sides. Stuff can't come in very easily. It's much more difficult than on standard seal bearings. The downside is, so there's good and bad news, right? The downside is you cannot service these, right? You can't take these side seals out and do anything and then put the seals back in. You just can't do it.
I mean,
the good news is you don't have to.
Right, I was gonna
It's just
say.
like with a cassette cartridge bottom bracket, right? People are like, yeah, you can't service that. But the good news is you don't have to.
Right.
It lasts years and then it dies, and for $24 you buy a new one.
Right.
And now you've got another 5 years of riding before you have any problems with it again, usually. So these, as you can imagine, are expensive. You can still only get them from SKF. If you want to...
just the bearings.
Just the bearings. Yeah, if you want to, check out their website. Just do a Google search. You'll find it. You can order just bearings from them.
Today you could order them.
Today, right now, if you have a 30 millimeter spindle crank and you want to try these out. These are really being pushed in the mountain bike industry and cyclocross. The value for me in cyclocross is power washer, right? Eliminating or decreasing the destruction of what the power washers do to the bearings is very interesting. So, of course, you know me, Mr. David Powner.
I know you. How many are on their way?
2.
All right.
So I have a set of these on their way as well. I'm not going to take them apart because they are relatively expensive. Okay, here, I'll tell you how much they were.
Yeah.
$24 a piece.
$24, 24 euro.
24, oh, that's right. 24 euro, I should say, a piece.
Gotcha.
So they weren't like, oh my God. If they last, I mean, forever, then that's $24 or $50 well spent. And you do have to have them shipped over from Sweden too. So they're all coming. That's all on its way.
Does it come with a translation too?
I should have those by the next show, and I'm very, very interested and curious to see those, and we will talk about them some more. So,
you know what's really cool about these though?
What's that?
All the things you talked about.
And
they're not loose ball bearings.
No, they're in this.
No, but not only are they in the polymer.
Yeah. Oh,
but they're not like in a ring the way other.
Yeah.
And it's like it's almost a chain,
like
right?
a bracelet. That
it
keeps them together.
Yeah.
And then that's surrounded by that polymer that's filled with oil.
Yeah.
And that oil can travel around inside. It's really cool.
It's cool.
It's really cool stuff. I'm very anxious to get them. From the outside, they're probably not going to look like much more than regular bearings to me, but I'm very interested to get these in a bike and like tool around with it and see what I think of them. So.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr.
I'm digging it.
Mr. David Palin, are you
no?
Are you hip with Whoop?
Am I hip to Whoop? I am hip to Whoop.
That's why I said it that way. We want to talk about one of our other sponsors, and that's Whoop, Mr.
Whoop
David.
for WAP.
Whoop for WAP.
Yeah. So, is it my turn to talk about Whoop?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the performance tool that is changing the way people track their fitness and optimize their training. You know why? Because Whoop provides a wrist-worn heart rate monitor that pairs to your app that provides analytics and insights on recovery, strain, and, most importantly, my favorite thing, sleep.
So what the Whoop does is it gives you a recovery score when you wake up, lets you know how hard your body is working, how good you're sleeping, how well rested you are. You know, one tip that I've heard from people that are using Whoop is they love, it's great training. They use it for training all the time.
Yeah.
But if you're waking up on race day, they actually don't look at their Whoop on race day.
No.
Because
What if it tells you that today's not an optimal
today's not
day?
a good day.
You're not going to take the day off.
Right. And now that's in the back of your head, like, oh man, I'm not going to perform well today. Put that out of your mind on race day. But for every other day, it's going to measure do you need more rest, tell you where you are, maybe help you decide, you know what, I'm overextended today. It's raining. You know, here's just one more reason that maybe I need a little bit more rest. It approaches monitoring your training from a different way, which is rest, which is most training things tell you, do more, exercise more. Here's your levels, here's your output,
And it's interesting because many training programs have now come to learn and will say, when you experience this, then you are now overtrained.
Yeah.
So similar to the turn it until it breaks and then back off one.
That we were just talking about. Right.
Same thing. Here with Whoop, you don't get to that point.
You don't
it tells
break
you,
it first.
back down.
Right.
You will, if you continue where you're going, you
will
will be
break.
overtrained.
Right.
Yeah.
So Whoop has provided an offer for our listeners to get 15% off their purchase with the code BikeShop. Just go to whoop.com. That's WHOOP.com. Use the code BikeShop at checkout to save 15% and optimize the way you train. That's for both 12 and 18-month subscription. The hardware is free, right?
Free.
Yeah.
That's our favorite price. We talk about that all the time.
Right. So,
and we'll give you 100% off on the free hardware. We'll do that for you because we like you guys.
That's right. So just get over to whoop.com. They've been a great sponsor for us for the last few months. We love it. We're hitting all kinds of input and feedback from people that have tried it.
Yeah. You know what you should do? Screenshot your Whoop score and your Whoop daily and your red, your black, your red, your green, your yellow, and put that up on the Instagram and tag Bike Shop CX and tag Mr. David Pound. We want to see what you're doing with your Whoop straps.
That's right. Absolutely. We'd love to see that. Hey, maybe if they're still a sponsor in April
CX Challenge.
Maybe if they are still a sponsor in April, some of the April CX Challenge picture, one of the topics might be
Whoop.
But then what could be the subtopic for people that don't have a Whoop? They should get a Whoop.
Get a Whoop.
All right. Thanks for checking that out. And again, use the code word BikeShop and get your discount on that. All right, Mr. David Pound, we're going to talk a little bit about the World Cup. I know this is a long show, but we got so much to cover.
We're giving you, this is, for our Wide Angle Podium subscribers, this is why.
That's
because we'll give you a 2-episode show in one episode.
Right. That's why this show only comes out every 2 weeks, because we have to have a rest after these marathons. Okay.
That's what my Whoop strap was saying. Slow down, Mr. David Palin.
World Cup. We're going to talk some more about the World Cup. We've been talking about World Cup stuff and about attendance and all kinds of things. But we just wanted to, and World Cup, I want to talk a little about Super Prestige too, and just kind of give people some more information about that. There's been some stuff that's come out. A lot of people are worried about what's going to happen with the World Cups next year. And some people are like, why is this such a big deal right now? Right?
I can't think about next year. I got to think about
what
today.
happened. What happened to make all this World Cup talk
become a discussion
point? So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then basically the crux of the whole matter is that back in April, and this came out, and there's been very little in the media about it.
Deep state.
Few little articles here and there, and not much else mentioned. I mean, I guess some, if you're really paying attention, you can pick it up. But back in April, the company Flanders Classics bought the World Cup rights for the seasons of 2020 and 2021. Okay, so that season, you got to do that in cyclocross because it spans the calendar. So that's next season through the 2023-2024 season. Okay, so
2 years.
Yes. All right. So, at that time, the UCI said we'll be getting more information in September.
Guess what?
It's October.
Uh-oh.
And we haven't gotten any more information. But the little bit of information that we do now. So what you might be going, what does this mean? Right?
Yeah.
So from the UCI statement, I'm going to read this off, Mr. David Pound. This is taken right from the UCI statement, okay? It said, more detailed information on the reform and on the concept of the new UCI World Cup for cyclocross developed with this new partner, including the calendar for the series, will be communicated at the end of the next UCI Management Committee meeting in September 2019. Like we said,
It's October.
it's October, so we don't know anything more. But so what this means is Flanders Classics now owns both the Super Prestige Series and the World Cup Series.
Ooh.
That's
That could be problematic.
That's two of the big three series that could potentially be problematic in that they control the calendars, they control a lot of things that might make things difficult for the Dave Ave series, for sure.
Dave Ave.
So we'll see what happens. No reason to, there's people that would say they've put pressure on other races in the past. I've read certain things about that. Yes, no, maybe, I don't know. You could, there's, I don't know that there's any definitive proof. We're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah.
What this means is that Flanders Classics now has the rights for A, general organization, B, marketing, 3, sponsoring. Sponsoring. I don't know. I'm assuming
that's sponsorship. So they get to decide who the sponsors are.
I think so.
Okay.
And 4, the big one,
the biggest of them,
TV distribution for both the World Cups and the World Championship. I believe that is maybe Belgium only, but still, that's a big.
But it is, and that's important.
Yes, that's important. The other thing that came out with this when this happened is that
there's been a lot of talk about adding races.
Is the expansion of the World Cup races. So next season, they have to have a minimum of 14 races with a maximum of 16 races. If the calendar comes out and it's either 14 or 15 races, that means those races must be in at least 7 different countries.
Okay.
I believe also in there somewhere it says only half the races can be in Belgium.
Nice. Does it say how many continents they need to be on?
Well, here's the thing.
Tell me the thing.
Well, before I get to that.
Okay. If it's in 16 races.
If there's 16 races, then they have to add a country, and it has to be in 8 countries.
Right.
Yes. So this brings up a good point. And I think at first glance, seems okay. That's cool.
And maybe it will be okay.
Maybe it will be. But it certainly gives whoever controls this a lot more power as far as taking up. Think about the weekends that this takes up now.
That is, between 14 and 16 weekends.
Right.
Or it could be as many as 16 weekends.
But
right?
we're jumping from 9, right?
Yeah.
The World Cup is on 9 weekends during the season now to 16.
Yeah, almost doubles.
Right. That makes it really difficult for other series.
So if you're Dave Ave, if you are in the U.S.
Yeah.
Or in Australia or in other non-European venues, this could have a profound impact.
And like you said, Mr. David Palin, this does not say it has to be in any continent. And while you could say, well, more countries is good, and I agree, more countries is good. In the end, I think those other countries could all be right around Belgium. Is basically the quick way to say what I was going to say, right? Yeah. You could have some people would argue is a good thing. We're trying to expand more in the U.S., should maybe be put on hold a little bit until we get more expansion in Europe, and that makes expanding to the U.S. easier. That would be one argument. Not saying I agree with that. I'm saying that's one argument.
Right. Yeah, because then you have 2 weekends left of racing that you could put somewhere else.
Right. The other thing that you could see here is we know Trek has a contract for next year.
But only next year.
Jingle is up in the air.
Yep.
Say they, this is completely under Flanders Classics control.
Right.
All right. So they could say, okay, we're going to have 16 races next year in eight countries. The 8th country is the U.S., right? So you have 7 European countries where there's 15 races.
Right.
1 country in the U.S. where there's the 16th race.
Right.
And then the year after that, all you have to do is get rid of the U.S. World Cup. Yeah. And now you're down to 15 races in 7 countries still.
I'll tell you what. You do 16 races, 8 countries. 1 is the U.S.
Yep.
I'm racing that series. So I'm only going to do 15 races. And I'm not going to come to the U.S.
Yeah.
I'm still going to get plenty of points.
Right.
That I'll be fine.
Yep.
So, and we've talked about this before, some on the air, some just between us on 6-hour drives from Waterloo to here, whatever it is. I'm not saying that we need to have a bunch of World Cup racing in the U.S. And I'm also not of a mind that says our racers need to go to Europe and tear it up there. I'm all about high quality racing here in the United States. And we need to really...
Whether it's World Cup or UCI or not.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And I think that's where we need to keep our sights, is to raise our game. At some point, maybe we have some real World Cup contenders that should go and travel, but our goal should be just raising the game here in the U.S.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I still would like to see at least one World Cup here, I think.
And that's selfish on our part from a standpoint of we want to go see it. It is cool. It's great to watch.
Yeah. Right. But at the same time, I want the World Cup series to be very competitive, really good, and
exciting.
Whatever, right. So, again, this is all speculation. We'll just say that right off the top of our head. We don't know any.
I'll tell you.
It's just speculation going by the numbers that came out in the announcement. It's just speculation. So,
the part that is not speculation is the statements that we have read.
Right.
It has been sold to Flanders Classics.
Yes. There's a minimum of 14 races.
Right.
And a maximum of 16.
And they do talk about equity, which I think is critical because, let's be honest, Flanders Classics is not always known for equity between men and women racing.
Right. So that was good to see. So, but before we go on to that, Wouter van den Hout, who is the owner/president of Flanders Classics, he said, yes, but it is a fact that the new World Cup, which will consist of 16 heats, will have an impact on the calendar. I don't know if that was something in the translation or what, but he is implying there. This was in an article I just read, I think yesterday or the day before. He's implying there that there's going to be 16.
Yep.
Right, not 14 or 15. So we'll see. The other news that came out. All right, so that's the World Cup stuff we wanted to talk about. The other news that came out is the Super Prestige put out all their stuff ready for the new calendar. We just had the first Super Prestige race this morning.
Yes.
Which I know you did not watch.
Don't spoil it.
I'm telling you right now.
Yes.
The men's race, and it was in,
as always,
it was in Guyton or Guyton, however whatever the pronunciation is. The men's race in the opening race of the Super Prestige is one of the best men's race I've seen in years.
Wow.
So
is this one going to be one for reviews later on?
Not counting World Championships.
Yeah.
Okay. Not counting World Championships. It's one of the best regular season men's races that I've seen in years. There is a 3-rider battle that happens in that race right at the pointy end, and it'll keep you on the edge of your seat. I really think if you have a chance to get back and watch that.
That's not 3 riders racing for second place?
No, it's all 3 riders racing for the win. Imagine that.
Wow.
In a men's race. That's crazy. The women's race is very good too. So definitely go check that out too if you get a chance. But the men's race, I think in this instance was a little better. So that's cool. Okay. The Super Prestige is also announced in all this that they talked about is the equal pay, Mr. David Palin.
Equal pay.
Equal pay for men and women. They are given 73,000 euros for both the men and the women this year.
Nice.
That's a good thing. They let out their calendar. One of the things on their calendar is, remember the race Hoogstraten?
I do.
That's near the end. I think it's like the 7th race. I'm very excited to see this because this is moved to, I think it's pronounced Merksplas. I don't know.
I'll give you this one.
But they had to move it because there's a new warehouse that forced them to move to the new location, and it sounds amazing. So I have this quote from Mark van Gestel. He said, I got this from one of the Belgian newspapers. He says, "We knew that this would happen sooner or later. Merksplas is close to Hoogstraten. We are now moving to a location in the middle of nature where we can draw a trail on, listen to this, cobblestones, field and forest roads through the meadow and over nasty little hills."
I like it when they say nasty little hills.
Does that sound awesome? A completely different race than the mud cross at Hoogstraten, although the name Strawberry Cross is retained. That I wanted to just repeat that description because I thought it just sounds so cool.
Yeah.
Cobblestones, I want to see some cobblestones in a cross race.
I want to see nasty.
Yeah, you want to see nasty little hills. So. All right, Mr. David Pan, was there any other big-time cyclocross news that you wanted to talk about?
Not that I want to talk about.
All right, so let's move on. Have you been cleaning your bike?
Never. Okay, yes, I have. I have. You know what?
Yes.
When I drive now,
Yes.
anytime I take a turn, I hear slush, 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 slush.
And why is that? Do you have
Because I have a 4-gallon pail in the back of my car anytime I'm traveling with my bike that's got a screw on top
yes.
so I don't hear squish all over the back seat. Right?
Yeah.
And my Works Hydro Shot with two 20-amp batteries in it.
You've got two now.
I have 3. I only travel with 2 because I figure that's all I need right now.
I only travel with 2. I love it.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to get my bike dirty now.
Yeah.
My bike got dusty the other day, and I'm out there washing it.
Because
Because, of course, we're talking about
the Works Hydro Shot. Get over to yourcleanbike.com.
That's YOU
URCLEANBIKE.com. And there is so I got an email the other day from a listener that said, I couldn't find the bike cleaning kit. It's there. Well, here's the thing. There's several different packages that are put together on that page. Any of those
on that page give us credit. And any of those on that page will be good for your 15% discount when you use the discount code
Clean Bike.
CLEANBIKE. Clean Bike.
I saw on Twitter, Mark Legg was tweeting. He's cleaning Katie's bike. Doug and John from the Gravel Lot let him. I don't know if they let him borrow one of theirs or use it or whatever. Yeah. And he used it.
They let him borrow it, and he didn't get it back. Maybe we shouldn't tell anything. Doug, John.
At the Waterloo race, I believe they sent him one or something.
Yeah.
So he can check it out and try it there.
He's talking about bringing it to Europe.
Yeah, which is amazing. I mean, that's exactly what it's for. I mean, certainly, because you can travel with it so easy, it's certainly better to go from here to Europe and have that in your stable than to have nothing and be totally reliant on the power washers that whatever is provided.
And granted, in the pit, during the race, in Europe in particular, they have the power washers dialed. No problems. Just go use the power washer in the pit. When you're done with your race, or prior to your race, when you're pre-riding or doing whatever you're doing, that's when the Works Hydro Shot works like a charm.
Yes, absolutely. You don't get it's just powerful enough. It's not going to blow stuff out of bearings, whether you know or not you have the new Hellbender bottom bracket.
Yeah.
So it's just a great piece of equipment. It's a great piece of kit that I've been going to over. I can't believe how much I'm using this thing.
Yeah.
To clean not just your bike, but
I noticed your porch when I came in. The back deck is sparkly.
You just need to clean some wheels really quick. You just need to clean tools. I just got tools here, I can just set these down. And with a power washer, if I set them down on the ground and you try and power wash them,
you're chasing them around.
They get as dirty from the blowback of the power washer as anything that you cleaned off of it. It's just it's just ridiculous. It's a waste of time. This actually cleans them off and doesn't blow everything back on them. So it's just a great thing. So go to the website, yourcleanbike.com. Use the code CLEANBIKE. We really appreciate it. This has been a great sponsor to have. These things, it's blowing me away with how many people we're getting on social media that are buying and using these.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I can't believe it. I mean, they're just coming one after the other. People are sending me messages that, hey, I just got a Works Hydro. Sonny Gilbert just sent me, hey, I got a Works Hydro shot.
Yep.
I mean, it's over and over and over again. Just people are like very excited about it and what we're talking. I've got the same one. I still got the. You said you got the 20 amp. You meant 20 volt.
20 volts. Sorry. Yes.
I also still have the 20 volt system, but I got the 4 amp battery.
Yes, you did.
Instead of the 2 amp. So
because you had to be better than me.
well, just because that's basically 2 batteries in one. I don't
Yep.
have to have 2 separate batteries. And I got a quick charger so I can charge that sucker because that one takes a little bit longer to charge. So all kinds of accessories on that website. Go check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
I don't think so.
All the Works products that I have, I was actually on their website looking at other stuff.
Yeah.
But the tables and stuff that I have,
I was looking
are
at
great.
a blower. It's
Yeah.
fall here in
Yeah.
Michigan. I was
Yeah.
looking at a blower.
I mean, it's really, really cool. So yeah, go check it out.
You know what's cool?
Yeah.
I can buy that blower
Mm-hmm.
without batteries.
Because you've got
Because
3.
everything's interchangeable
Yes.
with their stuff. The
Yeah.
20, most of it's the 20 volt.
Yep.
The 20 volt stuff is super interchangeable. Now, this is a 40 volt blower that I happen to be looking at.
Right.
Just take 2 20 volt batteries, pop
Done.
them in there, done.
Boom. Okay, Mr. David Palin. Let's get on and do some questions. We only have a couple questions, but we got to spend a little bit of time on this one.
This guy deserves like double
Because
question time.
Dave, we just we blew
I had to be honest, right? Because
Yeah.
I thought we were going to ask this question or read this question last week
Yeah.
or
Our
last show.
Yeah.
And then when you skipped beyond it,
Yeah.
I figured for sure it was because he said something nice about me. Now, come to find out, you just didn't realize that you had skipped over it.
Yeah. So, okay, we're going to start at the beginning.
Let's go.
All right, I'm going to read the beginning part. So, he says, "Howdy, Scotty D and Mr. P."
All right.
All right.
Not the preferred opening, but when you get to him saying nice things, you can call me whatever the hell you want.
Also, when we've screwed up reading this for weeks on end, we have to be a little more. All right.
Yeah.
He says, Dave, this is from Dave. Dave says, "It's been a year since the time I should have first sent you this question."
And in 6 months since he sent it to us.
Now it's been 2 years, and now the problem is resurfacing and needs to be dealt with. I live in Rochester, New York, all right? And last year at this time, I was frantically trying to recable my Force CX1 rear derailleur on my Focus Mare CX. Leading up to the first cross race of the season, I did eventually get it done and was able to race, but there may have been some tears involved, and it was certainly more swearing and throwing of tools than the neighbor was comfortable with. All right, the big problem is that there is cable housing in the chainstay. So how do I use all the internal cable tricks, as seen on YouTube, etc., to get the old housing out and the new housing in without ending up, as I did last year, with no cable or housing in the chainstay, and then blindly trying to get the 1.2 millimeter cable through the 2 millimeter exit port near the derailleur? Is there some way to redo the cable housing to get rid of that 1 foot section of housing that is so hard to work with? So, Dave, yeah, it's to start at that end.
I was going to say, yeah. Start at the 2 millimeter
You
end.
start at the 2 millimeter end and you push towards the bottom bracket.
Yeah.
Take that bottom plate off and get your length dialed in, right? You can either use it off the old one or just kind of manually do it, and you kind of have to figure it out. And then, yeah, get it cut and get both ends dressed.
Yeah.
And push it from that small end, and
Yeah.
it'll come out the bottom bracket up. I found on the Focuses too, to get it out at the top. With the Focus internal, I had one where I was like getting so frustrated, but then I took the fork out.
Were you throwing tools and using
Close.
words at the neighbors?
Close,
No.
But then I took the fork out,
Yeah.
and I did it first time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on any Focus now, I just take the fork right out.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do. You do have to reset your fork tension, but that's not hard. Take the fork out, and this is at the top. I know you're talking about the other end, and then it'll come out right out the top too, and it's much easier there too. So, but yeah, thread it from the back, the derailleur and thread it up through the bottom bracket.
Yeah.
Makes it a piece of cake. If you don't want to do that,
No.
and you still have your housing through there,
Right.
you can pull the housing off the inner cable is one way to do it.
Leave the cable
Leave
in.
the inner cable in.
Yep.
Thread your new housing over the inner cable.
Mm-hmm.
Pull the old inner cable out.
And thread the
and
new
now
cable
thread
through.
the new inner cable
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
So it's just a few steps to do. It's not difficult, and you'll get. This is one of those things that you just. I know this is hard for people to believe when you're caught up in the middle of this struggle.
Yeah.
You get better at this with more practice.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing. My Warbird. I went from the Colnago external cabling and not full housing to internally routed full housing in my Warbird. It is one of the things I appreciate very much about the Warbird is the full cabling.
Yeah, that's too
just
bad.
to have it go all the way. You know what? You can say what you will on that. I'm not replacing cables nearly as much.
I know I'm in the minority with that.
I just like the fact that I don't have...
Actually, on a gravel bike, I think it's more useful to do full cable housing than
Yeah.
on a CX bike. Because on a CX bike, I want to be able to replace that back piece of housing in a
I
race.
get that.
When someone
I get
runs
that.
into it in a pack of riders, I
And
want to
it
be...
folds, it
But
kinks,
you don't
it
have
does
that
whatever.
problem in a
No.
gravel
And
race.
if you hang out at the back of gravel races, which was where I am...
There's no one behind
no
me
one
anyway.
behind me anyway.
All right.
Okay, there's a broom wagon behind me. Other than that.
Dave
Sorry,
goes
go ahead,
on.
Dave.
He says, thanks for the great show. You should know that I consider the most moving moment in all of television, radio, and podcasting in 2018 to be David's description of his bottom bracket delamination problem on his Colnago last year.
Hold on. Now, you laughed in the middle of that, interrupted. Go ahead. Start again. Thanks for the great show.
Thanks for the great show. You should know that I consider the most moving moment in all of television, radio, and podcasting in 2018 to be David's description of his bottom bracket delamination problem on his Colnago last year. So sad, I audibly gasped and exclaimed, "Excellent and moving storytelling. Dostoevsky would be proud." Keep the great stories coming, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Dave, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, my Russian roots are showing through.
All right. So Dave sent us that
So
email.
now we're thinking really great things about Dave. Shall I continue?
Yeah,
After he
Dave-
said nice things about me?
Well, hang on. But so Dave sent us that email.
Yeah.
It was in the queue to be in the show, right?
But you got mad because it said nice things about me and my storytelling.
And we just skipped right over it.
Right.
So Dave, after a couple weeks went by,
Yeah, what do you say?
actually, a couple days went by, we get another email from Dave. So go ahead, Mr. David Bellin. You read this one.
I was so sad that you didn't address my question on yesterday's show. I cried. A lot. Anyway, just wanted to check in on this because now that the Rochester weekend is over, I have more time to fight this fight. By the way, I improved the shifting a lot with just a quick fix of tri-flow on all the high friction points in the bottom bracket shell and in the exit of the chainstay. Unfortunately, this made it shift well enough that I couldn't blame my poor performance on my shifting. I know the oil will cause gumminess in the cable long term, but for the short term, it's working okay. Dave.
So at that point, I sent Dave a message saying, "We're so sorry we missed you again. I can't believe." Yeah, so after he sent us this,
Yeah.
we put it in the queue again and then missed it again.
Yes. Again, had I known that he was saying nice things about me, I would have stayed on top of Scotty D and made sure we put it in. But no.
So I profusely apologized to Dave and said that we'd read his email and chastise ourselves, which I think we're in the process of doing.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and Dave responded,
Yes.
"No problem. I know it's an exciting time of the CX season and you guys are juggling a lot of exciting material to get on the air. Sure enough, the shifting is getting sluggish now, 2 weeks after the quick tri-flow fix, but I haven't had time to work on it. A new question has indeed come up. How important is it to run sealed cable housing? 2 LBS's only stock bulk Bontrager cables and housing with unseed ferrules. They said it was good stuff, but online vendors have fancy Jaguar stuff that looks both smoother and more sealed to keep the weather out. Is it better to buy a cheaper stuff and just replace it more frequently, or is it worth it to get premium cables? I realize that people will have a lot of different opinions on this, but in my situation, since I don't seem to have the time I'd like to work on the bike, should I use sealed housing to stretch out the time between replacements? Sorry, this is so long. Good luck dealing with October mud, Dave. What's your opinion on this, Mr. David?
You know what? I was a big fan of Gore housing.
Yeah.
And I think that money spent on housing
Yeah.
is worthwhile money. And I happen to like I like the Jaguar click housing, especially on
yeah.
a road bike.
Yeah.
Super expensive.
Uh-huh.
But in this case, I would go with the sealed stuff, and it may buy you a little bit of time. See how it takes us like an extra month to answer your questions? It'll buy you that time that you need. Ask the question early. We'll get to you eventually. But yeah, I think that it's probably worthwhile. And I'm not going to disagree with his local bike shop. I think the Bontrager stuff is good quality. The Shimano stuff is good quality. The SRAM stuff is good quality, especially like the Slickwire stuff from SRAM.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's worth it to, and maybe you just buy a bulk of the smaller diameter ferrule lens and stuff, and you just keep them on hand.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think either one of these is better in general. I think in your case, Dave, a sealed housing would be better because it doesn't sound like you really like to change it a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't mind changing it. I personally, when I'm doing, if I'm really supporting someone for a full season, I'm going to be changing the housing very frequently.
Mm-hmm.
So having sealed housing would be ridiculous, right? Because it's overkill and it's not going to be on there very long. So I want good quality housing. That is, I really like the Shimano housing. Even when I use SRAM drivetrains, I like the Shimano housing. And just replace it more often. But that's the solution for that instance. In your instance, Dave, I think the sealed housing is probably a better choice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got one more question, Mr. David Pound.
We do.
Yes, it came late, so I didn't send it to you.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Go ahead. So I'm going into this blind.
This is from Tom. Tom says, "Sup, Scotty D and Mr. David to the P.
D to the P.
Thanks for the advice last spring on the Vittoria Terreno dries for my Gunner Hyper X. They were the perfect choice for crushing gravel at Barry-Roubaix.
Barry-Roubaix is a nice race.
Now, on to cyclocross season. I raced/swam during the Sunday morning monsoon at Trek, and then rode/sloshed/ran the first race in the Shycross Cup Series. If people don't know, the first two races that had to be moved to other locations.
This weekend, I think, was moved
because
too.
the mud was so bad. On my Raleigh RXS single speed, which has always had PDXs, they seem to be the go-to tire in Chicagoland, do quite well. Shopping at a Sierra trading post, I came across a pair of Clement BOS tubeless ready tires for $35 a piece.
What?
That's a great price. That's like half of MSRP.
Sierra Trading Post is a good place. It's like the Marshall's TJ Maxx for that kind of stuff.
I couldn't pass up the deal and mounted them with tubes to my RXS for the next CCC race, which for people that don't know is Shycross Cup, which was, again, a muddy mess. Things have been crazy wet down here, and I like the idea of more mud-worthy tread. On to my question, is there any reason to go back to the PDXs if, big if, things start to dry out? It always seems like there is going to be mud and slop and sketchy off-camber throughout our series as the season continues. Specifically, what are the downsides to a tire like the BOS? Is there a way to quantify when they would be slower and how much slower than a PDX? Are we talking seconds, minutes? Is the handling dramatically worse in dry conditions? Or is this something only pros spend their time worrying about? Can I be running tubeless on the impulse rims that came with the 2015 RXS? A lot of stuff in here, Mr.
There's a lot
David.
of stuff in
All
there.
right, so here's the deal.
So tubeless, let's start with there.
yes.
If they are indeed Clement and not Donnelly,
Yes.
chances are the answer to that is no.
That they're, what do you mean?
They're probably not tubeless ready.
Yes, right. We don't, yeah, because
The newer stuff tends to be, and you can look on the packaging.
yeah, they might, or it might say tubeless on the side, but
Yeah.
let's assume if they are. I would always argue you should ride tubeless if you have the opportunity.
Agreed.
In a cross race. So if the thing is, so the BOS, the difference between the BOS and the PDX, the BOS is made for, it's like the super mud tire.
For Boston.
It stands for Boston. But the big thing with the BOS is they have a more aggressive side knobs. That was one of the things that they really built up on the BOS. And they also have a centerline mud groove.
Indeed.
So that's important. The BOS is really made for mud and mud only.
Yes.
The PDX is much more of an all-around tire. The PDX also has a central line with the way that the lugs are set up, so that when you aren't in mud, you are going to roll. Your rolling resistance is going to drop.
Right.
As a general rule, as any tire with more aggressive knobs, I said lugs before, but I meant knobs. Any tire with more aggressive knobs is going to have a higher rolling resistance. It's going to take more watts to push that tire along the course.
Mm-hmm.
So the general rule is you're always searching for the least amount of tread that gets you around the course the fastest.
Right.
So there's really no way for me to say which tire is going to get Tom around the course on any given course faster, right?
Because if you're sliding and having to pick yourself and your bike up,
yeah,
doesn't matter that your rolling resistance is low and you could go fast when you were upright.
Right. And at the same time, like we've said many, many times, Mr. David Palin, you don't want to pick a tire because of one turn or two turns or maybe even a section of turns on the course if for the entire rest of the lap that tire is slowing you down.
Right.
You want to pick the tire that makes your lap times the fastest. So this is something a lot of people do. They put on a huge tire because they want to get around this one turn or this one obstacle, and that's usually a mistake. Be slower in that one obstacle if you're faster in the lap. It doesn't matter.
Get off the bike and run it.
Or get off the bike and run it.
If it's a
well, that might be what's making you slower on that one.
If it's a particularly muddy section, just get off the bike, shoulder it, and you'll be that much happier when you get to the rest of the course.
Right. So I don't think this is necessarily something only pros spend their time working on, because for us non-pros, you're really talking about, is it going to fatigue you more? You're trying to balance, I want to stay, I got to, I'm barely finishing races anyway, so I want to try and save as much as possible. So the best solution here, Tom, would be to have enough sets of wheels that you could have both mounted.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go out and pre-ride and you make the determination there, because what you might decide is like, look, I'm going to run the BOS on the front and keep the PDX out, but the PDX on the rear is great.
Yeah.
Or vice versa for some reason. And so you have all kinds of weight. You have essentially 4 different tire choices that you can make. Yeah. Full PDX, full BOX, mix front to rear one way, mix front to rear the other way. And now you've got a lot more options with only 2 sets of tires. Right. So
now, if the question is the way I would tend to read it, going back to the cyclists are cheap theory, he's saying, I now have a set of BOSs that I bought at Sierra Trading Post. Do I need to buy another set of tires? Not, do I need to choose between the BOSs and the PDXs that I have, or the MXPs, or whatever else I have?
Yeah.
Then I would say,
hey, you got such a good deal on those BOSs. You should have enough money to buy a second set. I would not use a BOS as an all-around tire.
My all-around, and it's aggressive for a dry course, my all-around tire tends to be the PDX.
Yeah, I think PDX
when it comes to Clement or to Donnelly, the PDX, I think, is a better choice. That if you're going to be over-tired at some levels and under-tired at other levels, the PDX is the way to go. It's the middle-of-the-road kind of thing.
If someone said to me, you can only choose one tire for an entire cyclocross season, I would probably have to choose the PDX. As much as I love challenge tires, I think I would probably choose the PDX.
Yeah,
it'd be really close between a PDX and a Baby Limas. Those would be right there, one way or the other. So, all right, Tom continues on, finishes off. By the way, I looked for you guys at your tent at Trek a couple times and missed you. You'll have to make it down to Shycross Cup races someday. I will have some cold ones waiting for you.
We are planning to be there. I don't know if we'll be there this year, but we will do our best. And you don't need to have them cold, because we are going to be there next year for sure when Nationals comes to Chicago.
That's right.
And they are sure to be cold. No matter what you're serving us,
everything
will be cold come Nationals.
Yeah. So, but I would love to get down to a Shycross Cup race this season. I don't know for sure that it's going to happen, but maybe. You never know. So there you go.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. David Palin, finishing up here.
There's more.
We want to talk about the wide-angle podium and our pledge promise that we talked about at the beginning.
We couldn't just end the show here. Let's just end it here. No, let's talk about it.
So one of our favorite shows on the wide-angle podium is the Gravel-Lot. Did you listen to Gravel-Lot this week?
Of course. What kind of question is that? Of course I listened to the Gravel-Lot.
So those guys had Turner Ramsey on, and the whole thing, if you get a chance to listen to Turner Ramsey versus Becca Fahringer, Hashtag.
It's like WWE right
It's
now, right?
WWE. It's full on, baby.
Yeah. Now Turner knows about this. I don't know if Becca knows about it yet.
And to fully get this joke and what we're talking about, you got to listen to the episode because it's very tongue-in-cheek, and you will learn why if you listen to that episode.
Listen
of
to
the
that.
Grab-A-Lot.
It's, yeah.
All right, Mr. David Palin. So to take us out on the pledge drive talk, do not turn your podcast off yet.
No, because you're going to want to hear this.
So we are talking, it's that time of year. Again, we're looking, we need more Wide Angle Podium members, and we need you to select Bike Shop CX as your show, that one of or the show that you want to support on the network. Because here's what we're going to do, Mr. David Palin.
We're going to be rich.
No. I can guarantee that that's not going to happen. But what is going to happen? You remember I was talking, I think, in the Jingle Cross episode that I ran into who?
Mr.
Jeff Proctor. So
Mr. Montana Cyclocross Camp.
Montana
Cyclocross
Camp.
How many now elite racers, never mind juniors,
The number
how many
is
elite
endless.
racers can thank Jeff Proctor
and the Montana
Cross Camp,
Yeah.
and even pre-Montana when he was bringing juniors to the Christmas week.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Now, there's a man that deserves our support.
Yes. I mean, this is the premier, in my opinion, this is the premier cyclocross camp in the country. If you're looking for a place for kids to go to learn, I mean, Sven Nys has been at this camp.
Yep.
And given lectures.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all you got to say right there.
No, so just to come back to what you're saying, if you're looking for a place for kids to go and learn,
Yes.
right? For kids to go and learn how to play cyclocross,
Yeah.
come to the Ann Arbor Velo Club
Right.
CX Pre-X.
Right.
Go to Monday Fun Day.
Yeah.
Go to whatever in your park, in your city.
Yes.
Don't travel so far. Yes. Support locally and learn locally. Yes. If you are at that level now, or your junior, or your development person in your club is at the level where they are competing with the elite men or elite women in a race.
Right.
Because they don't have the best in the
There's
country
no one
to
in
race
their age
against.
to push them.
Right.
Yeah.
These are the people that should be going to
The Montana Cross Camp. Right. This is for the best juniors in the country, boys and girls.
Yeah.
They come, and what this allows them to do, what is so important is that the juniors in the U.S., because the country is so large, the juniors tend to be spread out all over the place, and they are the best. They are the best in their age group at home, and they go and ride away from everybody, and it's not that nothing is pushing them.
The only way they know how
level.
to bump against somebody
Right.
or get aggressive is when they're lapping the field.
Right, right, exactly. So the Montana camp addresses this. It gets all these very high-level U.S. cyclocross racers together for a week and gets them to push themselves, push each other, and it's an intense learning experience about cyclocross.
It's a master's class in cyclocross.
But here's the thing, Mr. David.
Tell me the thing.
It's not free.
What?
You have to pay to go to this camp.
I have to pay?
Yes. Anybody has to pay to go to this camp.
And, well, I've joked there, but let's go. I'm not going there. You're not going there.
I might
Not
go to
because-
watch, but I'm
right.
not gonna...
Even if we were juniors, this is not just if I can afford it, I'm going to sign up, and first 30 people that sign up get in.
No.
This is a very select process to choose the people with the potential to be at the
world
highest
top
level.
Correct. So what we are going to do, Mr. David Palin, is talk to Jeff. We love the Montana camp. I've been following that camp every year for years and years. Yeah. And watching what they're doing.
We talked to him at Worlds in 13.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
we love what you're doing out there.
Man.
And
yeah.
by all means.
His book had just come out. We were talking
Behind
about
the
that.
Stair.
Yeah.
Buy the book. Buy the book.
Okay. So what is going to happen? Bike Shop CX. What we are doing, Mr. David Palin, with our listener money, right?
Yes.
The money that we get from our listeners, we are going to pay for a scholarship for one kid to go to the Montana camp.
That's pretty nice of us.
Yes. So when you support our show, when you send money to the Wide Angle Podium and you select Bike Shop CX as one of the shows that you want to support, this is what we're doing. We will be paying for one kid to go to the Montana camp this year.
And this will be at Jeff Proctor's discretion.
And I should say we are paying the tuition. We're not paying the transportation in that.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to get to the Montana camp. But we'll
and
pay.
it's not through us. We're not going to choose the person and send them tuition.
Jeff
this
chooses
will all be with Jeff.
Jeff chooses who is in the camp, not us. Okay, but we are going to be giving the Montana cyclocross camp the funds to pay for one person to go to the camp this year.
That's right.
If we get enough pledges, Mr. David Palin, and can afford 2, we will be paying for 2.
We'll be paying for 2.
So don't think that, they've already got enough. No. We would love to do 2.
I'll tell you what, send us enough money, we'll support 3.
We'll support 3. Right. So needless to say, basically what we're telling you is all of our pledge, all of the money we get from members for the next few months and for the next at least half of the next year.
Yeah.
So if you say, okay, I'm gonna be a wide angle podium supporter, I'm gonna pick $10 a month, Bike Shop CX. That $10 a month,
the portion that comes to us, goes straight into the account for the Montana camp. Indeed.
That's how it's going to work. So with that, we encourage you, please subscribe at whatever level you can, become a Bike Shop CX supporter. And is there a better way, Mr. David Palin? Is there a more grassroots way that you could support the sport? Can you think of one? I guess maybe if you're local juniors, but this is the juniors, the junior racers, like you said, Mr. Dave Palin, the people, boys and girls who went on to are the stars of today for U.S. cyclocross. Almost all of them went to this Montana camp.
Indeed, they did.
And for some of them, it has been a financial hardship to get there. So we're going to help alleviate that. Yeah. And this is how you
And we
help
want people to be chosen
that.
For this camp based on their talent.
Yes.
Not just based on whether or not they can, their talent and can they afford to do it.
Right. Exactly. We want to try and eliminate that from the equation for as much as we can.
Right.
And help, get the best of the best there, regardless of whether or not they can afford that tuition. So, yeah, that is our pledge, Mr. David Palin. We will do that with like we said, with the funds that we get for the next couple months are all going. We've already have it all set up. We're going to have Jeff, unfortunately, could not get on the show this time. We're hoping to get him on before next time. Might just be a recorded phone call with him and I, but we're going to try and get him on to talk about that, and he can give us a little bit more information about what's going on there. But it's basically all set up and ready to go. We just got to do it now that we're into the pledge drive. So there you go.
So should we throw down the gauntlet here?
What's the gauntlet?
Take that, gravel lot. Let's see what you and your pebbles can do. Let's see who can fund more racers for Montana Cross Camp.
Besides all the pins and all the stickers and all that fun stuff that's great to get and a blast, this is something that is near and dear to our hearts, and we're very excited about doing this, and we can't wait till we can give this to someone and make that trip a little bit easier for them. So, all right, Mr. David Palin, there you go. We can't top that.
At this point, all I can say is at Mr. David Palin on Instagram, at Mr. David Palin on the Twitter.
That's right. And you can get a hold of me, Scott Diedenbach, at Bike Shop CX on both Instagram and Twitter. And I think that's it.
And with that, the bike shop, she's closed.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Great show this week. Please get on over to Wide Angle Podium, become a member, select Bike Shop CX as the show you want to support, and help us push this scholarship for someone to get to attend the Montana camp. We're very excited about this, and please get over there and help support this in any way that you can. All right. tech questions, as always, send them to bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
Bikeshopshow@gmail.com.
We want more tech questions as we come into the full-on tech season. So get on with that. All right, I hope everybody is getting out there and riding in this beautiful fall weather. If you are getting out there and riding, you know the drill. Be careful out there. Take care of each other out there. And until next time, the Bike Shop is closed.